Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Shutterfly. If you're like us, you take a lot of pictures because you have a camera right in your hand all the time. How would you not take a lot of pictures? And we're taking all these pictures, more than we've ever taken in the history of the world.
What are you going to do with them all?
That's the thing. You used to get a solid picture, and then you'd look through them, and you could enjoy them. Now they're like back on your camera roll. You can't even find them. You don't want that. That's why the cool thing you need to do, and what I did, and I think it's pretty cool, is create a Shutterfly photo book.
Oh.
What I did, and you're going to enjoy this, Jimmy, because I haven't showed this to you yet, but took all of our pictures from being on tour this year.
Oh.
All live show pictures, us backstage, us on stage, doing all that stuff, and like some of the, just the venues and things, and made a little photo book out of that. Also, they have free 24-hour designer service as well. With their 24-hour designer service, a professional designer is going to lay out the book for you for free in just a day. Make something that means something with Shutterfly. Enjoy 40% off orders over $29 with promo code SMALLTOWN. See site for promotional details.
And now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Wondery.
This week, in Dunbar, West Virginia, a 12-year-old boy goes missing, and police think they have the people that took him until the whole thing takes a major turn and a much different truth is revealed. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us this week on another insane, crazy panhandle edition of Small Town Murder. We have a crazy episode this week. What I will tell you is make sure to listen to the end of just listen through this whole episode. Don't go, okay, I get what happened. Nope. You want to hear the whole thing, because as dissatisfying an ending as last week's have, if you if you missed it for some reason, I won't spoil it. But if nobody was satisfied with how,
that's not fair.
Not with the way we ended it, but the way that life ended the whole thing. But this week will be as satisfactory as that was unsatisfactory. We'll put it that way. You're going to love the ending of this one. But yes, first, before we get to the episode, we do need to do a little bit of house cleaning. Thank you, everyone, for all of your reviews this week.
Heroes.
iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or otherwise. Those reviews really, really help out a lot. So I know it takes 30 seconds. You got to sign into whatever the thing is, but it helps us out on the business end, helps drive us up the charts, and it means a lot to us. So if you have not done it yet, please give us 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say. It's not for for our ego. It's just for business purposes. And speaking of business purposes, you can head over to shutupandgivememurder.com.
That's our website.
That's our website where you can get everything small town murder and crime and sports related.
Yes.
And if you're not listening to crime and sports, you're blowing it.
This week you really missed a good one.
You missed a crazy. Yeah, you missed a lot of crazy.
Up in a bottle.
Yeah, that's not from disgustingness, from laughing.
Which is really, really disheartening.
Yeah.
I threw up from laughing about what should have been the crime. Should have been what made me throw up.
Exactly. Right. But crime and sports make you laugh till you puke, and we have proof of it right here with Jimmy. So please,
tacos in a water bottle.
That's what happens, man. It happens every time. But yes, you can get all your merchandise, small town murder, crime and sports merchandise. We have skateboards now.
Yes.
Which I got this. I ordered the skateboards. Yeah, I ordered a crime and sports and small town murder. They're fucking nice decks too. I used to skate, so like I can see if a deck's a piece of shit. It's a nice deck actually. It's not bad. I'm not sure the brand of the deck, but it's a good deck. It's not.
It's small town murder and crime and sports brand deck.
That's right. God damn it. Yeah, it's pretty goddamn cool. So check all of that out. Tickets to upcoming live shows. We're going to announce a full slate. Nashville on the 14th of April is sold out. Apologize for that, but we're going to have a blast there. You can also, from there, you can be one of our heroes. Yeah. You can be a producer, one of our producers who we talk about at the end of the show, the people we love the most in the entire world. You can do that very easily by going to patreon.com/crimeinsports, or you can just head over to PayPal and use our email address, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com, to make a one-time donation there. And every cent is insanely appreciated. Thank you guys for everything you do. And with that said, we need to get to the disclaimer quickly.
Yes.
This is a comedy podcast. We have to tell you that right off the bat. There's going to be jokes. We're comedians, so that's what we do. All the facts are real. The whole story's real. It's not like, oh, they made that up because it's funny. Nope, everything's real. Trust me, it's painstaking. The facts are real. We approach this like Dateline would approach something or something like that, except then we say, what's funny around this whole thing?
We say what Keith Morrison won't say.
Exactly. That cousin sounded like a real hillbilly, and we'll talk about him for a couple minutes, because we do, though, we try to go out of our way to not make fun of the victims or the victims' families, because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags.
That's the truth.
That's how it works. We're just going to have some fun with all the stuff around it, and there is plenty of crazy shit around it to talk about. There always is.
Yeah.
So if that sounds good to you, then you're in the car.
Yeah.
We're on the way to the liquor store. We're going to rob this liquor store, guys. So if something happens by accident,
sometimes that lady behind the counter has a piece too.
That happens. She could, or you get a little itchy with the trigger. You get a little nervous. The lady's brains end up all over the Marlboro cartons and cheap plastic vodka behind the counter, and you're just as responsible as we are. So no complaining. If you think that true crime and comedy should never go together, you should leave now, because they're going to go together here. But if you want to have a good time and hear a crazy story, then goddamn it, enjoy. You should sit back or stand up on the top of your desk, car, kitchen table, and you should yell, "Shut up and give me murder." Let's do this. What do you say, Jimmy? Let's go on a trip.
I'd love it.
Let's do this. Let's get at it. Let's get out of Georgia.
Yeah.
We were in Georgia last week.
They really don't know how to do the law around here.
Oof, hot and muggy down there, and a little scary for the. We had last week. That was a very, very. That was one of those where I had people message me that are pro death penalty people that were like, that made me angry, because that's the type of shit that makes people not like the death penalty is when shit like that happens. So everybody was pissed off about how that ended. The
wrong people got it.
Wrong people. So, well, not the right person got the wrong thing. We'll say probably.
And the wrong person got the other people. No, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Those other guys.
This week we're going to West Virginia. Which state motto should be last in just about everything. Thank you, Mississippi, for keeping us out of the cellar. It's pretty much, we're going to Dunbar, West Virginia here. It's in southwestern West Virginia, smack in the middle of the pan.
All the Florida without the education.
All the Florida, It's the last time we did West Virginia, it was like West Virginia, because not everyone can afford Florida. I think that was our motto.
That's pretty good.
So West Virginia is shaped like a frying pan. It's like a pan with a handle and everything. This is right in the middle of the pan. It's 3 hours to Frankfort, Kentucky. It is 3 hours to Cincinnati. Cincinnati. If you go kind of up to the northwest, it's only 15 minutes to Nitro, which was our last West Virginia episode, episode 87. No, that was a wild episode too. Even the town stuff was crazy. They made gunpowder there.
That's right.
It was a wild episode.
That's right. The TNT was the N from TNT is made there.
Exactly, exactly. So this place here, it's only 15 minutes from there, but it's very kind of different. It's not like it's weird. It's very separated in 15 minutes. I don't know how that happens.
It's that close.
It's that close though. It's in Kanawha County, zip code 25064, area code 304. It's 2.8 square miles here, and their motto is, we're West Virginia, we don't need a goddamn motto. Get down in the coal mine and get to working. That's
West
it.
Virginia, you know what it is.
You know what it is. There's dirt on our faces for a reason. West Virginia. So they don't have a motto here. They didn't even try.
Every day and Ash Wednesday.
And boom. Every day is Ash Wednesday. Yeah. Here in Dunbar, West Virginia. So
that was awesome.
That's amazing. So Dunbar is on land that's obviously originally occupied by Native Americans, like the rest of the continent. This particular block of land was granted to George Washington for his military service. So this was like one of they used to pay soldiers in land back in the day, and this was
a gift.
This was what he had as part of his payment, and there's different accounts of who it was named after. Somebody said, a lot of people say it was named after Mary Dunbar, who inherited the land from Washington. And then other people say it was named for a guy named Dunbar Baines, who was a prominent banker when they named the town in the area.
Probably that guy.
I'm going to go with the money behind it. And then they went, you know what, too? It works with the Washington thing. Yeah, fuck him, though. What did he do? Beat the British? I mean, this guy's a banker. That's a real accomplishment.
Right.
Yeah, never mind beating back an empire.
You can't beat the empire without money.
Yeah, that's the thing. So
you got to buy shit.
Yeah. Dunbar's a farming community for a long time in the 1800s until the industries really start to take off. And then West Virginia quickly adapts any policy that puts smoke into the air as quickly as possible, puts pollutants in as fast as that. They're like, we want that. What can we burn that makes black shit come out?
Perfect.
The whole town must be covered in soot. Otherwise, we're not going to be happy. So they opened glass and bottling plants in like 1912. A bunch of glass and bottling plants started opening, and that kind of became a big deal here. That was the same time that the county was, in 1912, the county was the site of something called the Bloody Miners' Strike. Which, that sounds, I read that, I was like, ooh, this sounds crazy.
That's juicy. Those people are vicious people. They fight.
Mines and textbooks we'll talk about people fight about here with fucking bombs and violence. It's insane. It's nuts. There was 96 coal mines in operation around here, employing 7,500 miners in this area before the strike. 41 of these mines were unionized, and the rest were not unionized. And miners miners that weren't unionized received 2.5 cents less per ton than union miners in the area. And so they kind of formed a union, but it still wasn't working for them. So they end up negotiating a new contract with the operators, and they have several demands there. They want raise the compensation rate to the same level as everybody in the surrounding areas, and it would have cost the operators about 15 cents per miner per day to do this.
That's not a lot.
Not a lot. And they said, absolutely not. Fuck you guys.
We got a CEO that wants a big house.
There's Italian people coming over every day. They're already greasy. We shove them right in the hole. There you go.
Do it all for free.
That's right. Shoot them right down there. Right. My fucking long lost Guinea relatives, they would have just shoved them in a coal mine, no problem.
For company coupons.
That's it, man. Yeah, that's it. Boom, there, to have some script. So the union calls for a strike on April 18th, 1912.
Hell yeah.
Their demands were that operators accept and recognize the union, that the miners' right to free speech and peaceable assembly be restored, because they would protest and they would it would be all busted up. That operators accept and recognize the union. Again, I don't know why they put that in there twice, but that's their first and third demand is the same exact word.
Recognize us. Do this shit. Recognize us.
Recognize us. It should have been every other one. 4, that the compulsory trading at company stores be ended, so you don't have to spend your money there.
Beautiful.
That's nice. That cribbing be discounted, and that 2,000 pounds of mined coal constitute a ton. That the scales be installed at mines to weigh tonnage of the miners.
All right.
So they were scamming them on what they were pulling out of the ground too.
That's fucked up.
It's fucked up.
Jesus.
That miners be allowed to employ their own check weighman to check against the weights found by the company weighman.
That's good.
Seems fine. And that 2 check weightmen determine all docking penalties after they ended up doing that, and all the miners in the area joined up for this strike because these are all pretty reasonable things. Just be fair. Let us spend our money how we want since we're working for it, and make sure that we're getting paid fairly. That's not a lot to ask for.
We want to work. Just treat us well.
That's not even asking to be treated well.
No,
that's just saying,
nicely.
hey, can you pay me for what the work I do?
Right.
That's all that is.
Do what I'm asking.
That's it.
That's minimal.
Yeah, that's not even like, hey, can you make this, less dangerous? Can you make a bunch of us not die all the time?
It's really insane to try to save $1 by undercutting your labor force when just paying them appropriately will make you so much more money in the long run.
Especially in a situation like this.
They will work so much harder.
In a situation where it's actual labor,
When it's built upon actual work.
Morale is a big thing with that.
Absolutely.
People that are happy work faster. People that are into what they're doing work faster, and they work happier, and they work better, and they get hurt less, and the whole thing ends up costing you less money.
And when you hold a union employee down, when you hold a union congregation, what is it? Populace? A bunch of union guys. When you stop them and they will fucking mutiny will form, and they will figure out how to do way less and cost you millions.
Yeah, it happens. So it's
union workers are there's some dastard bastards. They are.
Well, you are one. Jimmy's saying this because he's a part of
what they do.
Yeah, the electric company thing is he works.
It's pretty impressive how they will organize an idea of how to do way less.
Which on the other side, they have people trying to screw you out of how much coal you mine. So I guess it's like everybody has to screw each other, I suppose.
Well, everybody screws minimally, and then more work gets done. The job gets done better. Job gets done right, and the company fucking benefits so much.
Yeah, it's true. Well, they didn't take it that way. No. These people, the operators, hired the Baldwin Felts Detective Agency to break the strike.
Great.
They sent more than 300 mine guards down there to do that, and then Mother Jones, the whole publication is named after there, was an activist. Arrived in June, and mine owners began evicting workers from their rented houses because they had their lodging was tied to their work. Right. It was all in the thing, and they would bring in replacement workers. So they'd bring in somebody to take your job and go live in your house.
That's fucked up.
So this ended up, there was all sorts of fighting all around the town, beatings, sniper attacks, and sabotages of business shit. And this ended up costing a fortune.
Of course,
they could have paid everybody 15 cents a day for years and lost less money than this whole thing would cost them.
That's what I mean.
It's this whole thing. So they ended up rallying the workers. The workers made their way through the armed guards, and they persuaded another group of miners in Elksdale, West Virginia, to join the whole thing here. They had a march of 3,000 armed miners to the steps of the state capitol.
That's scary.
If I see 3,000 dudes who just crawled from the earth and are now armed coming toward me, I'm going to ask what they need, and I'm going to try to provide it. I'll tell you that right fucking
3,000 John
now.
Goodmans and that weirdo.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Covered in coal dust. Wow, those are some tough son of a bitches.
Throwing muck in their hair and slicking it back.
And I'm now coal mining's hard, but in 1900, this is another level. Yeah. These guys were fucking rugged. Yeah. I mean, they could tear you apart with their bare hands. They don't need to be armed. They rip coal from the fucking rocks with their hands. These people, they're crazy.
As long as they have their arms, they're well armed.
They're well goddamned armed. So they read a declaration of war to Governor William E. Glasscock.
Yes.
That is absolutely
really?
Billy Glasscock. That's his real name.
Fantastic.
Wow. On July 26th, miners attacked one of the mines, leaving 12 strikers and 4 guards died in a melee there. In September, a force of 5,000 miners joined the strikers' tent city. They had like a big, like a shanty town out there. And Governor Glasscock established martial law in the region.
Yeah.
So they sent in 1,200 state troops to confiscate arms and ammunition from both sides, from the the operators of the mines and from the miners. They had the whole thing was a goddamn mess. The strikers were forbidden to congregate. They were in the martial law times. They subjected them to trials in military tribunals, even though they were civilians. So strikers' families at this point, they've had no food, and they've had no money, and these people weren't wealthy to begin with. These actual miners, so kids are hungry and cold, and people they live in tents, and it's a goddamn mess.
As a rich person in that scenario, you are vastly outnumbered. Why would you want to fuck with those people?
It's fucking crazy.
Those are dangerous human beings. They're going to fucking murder you.
They're this is all they have. They have nothing. They have nothing to lose. Their kids are starving. Right. They have nothing to lose.
They will open you.
Yeah. So, anyway, martial law ended up being lifted and then reimposed by old Glasscock there. And then the miners attacked one of the mines again. There was one casualty. This was on February 7th. In retaliation, the sheriff and a group of detectives attacked the Holly Grove miners settlement with an armored train called the Bull Moose Special.
Good Lord.
They attacked with machine guns and high-powered rifles, putting 100 machine gun belts through the frame house of one particular striker.
Wow.
That they didn't like, and killed him, obviously.
Unbelievable.
So this went back and forth until finally Glasscock ended up getting voted out of office. And the new governor was Henry Hatfield, who said, hey, let's figure out what the fuck we're doing here. Stop the martial law.
Yeah.
Took Mother Jones out of jail, and that whole deal, and ended up quashing the whole thing, and basically kind of brokered a peace between these two sides and said we can't just have people fighting each other. The violence and everything estimated that the whole thing ended up costing about $100 million in the end.
And in what time?
In 1912.
Wow.
I assume that's
today's value.
I hope so.
Otherwise, that's bankrupt. It's over.
Trillions. Yeah. That's fucking absolutely crazy. There was tons of deaths from the fighting, and then a lot of other deaths by starvation and malnutrition from the miners and their families. It was pretty nuts here.
Hatfield that solved this. Is he one of the Hatfields that fought the McCoys?
I don't believe so. I don't, but this guy's a doctor, so I'm going to say no.
Probably not.
Dr. Henry D. Hatfield.
He's probably related.
He might be, yes.
In that time,
back then,
there's not enough people to not be related.
That's the truth. The Gravely plow was invented in 1916 here, some kind of plow. Also, a lot of glass, like we said. There was the Dunbar Glass and Kawana Glass Companies. It was also the Dutch Hollow Wine Cellars is there, and that was listed on the Register of Historic Places in 1970. Dunbar wasn't incorporated until 1921. It's been around all this time, wasn't even incorporated until 21 by the West Virginia legislature. 1974, I'll go through this very quickly here. There was textbooks. There was a disagreement over textbooks, basically. West Virginia, the English Language Arts Textbook Committee of Kawana County, West Virginia, recommended 325 books and textbooks to the school board for use in elementary schools. Among these titles were America Reads and The Language of Man. These textbooks were part of a new curriculum that was introducing multiculturalism at first into the whole thing, because this was the early 70s. Right. They were trying to whatever, and a lot of people didn't like this. Obviously, as you would imagine, people don't like change. So they distributed basically one person. There was a lady who started the whole thing that was upset about what was going on, and she was disturbed by a quote in an autobiography of Malcolm X.
What did he say?
Where he referred to Christians as brainwashed.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Which, I don't know, that's his opinion, and it's an autobiography of him. So nobody said, hey, this is the law. They said, this guy said this, which is just history. So you can't,
And all he said was, he didn't say, hey, black men, go rape white women. He said... No. Christians are brainwashed.
Well, either way,
he didn't call for violence.
Even if he called, that's a different thing. Calling for violence, yeah. But I mean, this was just it was a guy's opinion and a thing, which you can say like, oh, I don't agree with that opinion, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't learn about a historic. Let's not learn about Hitler because I didn't like him. Like, no, you should still learn about stuff. Like, it makes nuts that Malcolm X is Hitler, but I'm just saying, to these people, he's Hitler.
That was my next question.
Let's be realistic.
Compare Malcolm X to Hitler
in West Virginia. If you said who's worse, Malcolm X or Hitler, to some of these people, and whatever, not to be stereotypical, but judging by her reaction to one quote in a book, if you said who's worse, Hitler or Malcolm X, they'd go,
Hitler never said.
I'd like to see a steel cage match. Let's just put it that way. I don't know. Whoever wins. I feel like they'd say.
I never heard Hitler attack Christians. So,
no. Well, yeah, he did actually. He didn't like religion at all.
But did he say that out loud?
I'm sure. Didn't like religion.
West Virginia didn't understand it. That's for sure.
The state is supposed to be the religion. Yeah. That's fucking funny. She also found quotes from Allen Ginsberg, the poet, found in Sigmund Freud's Oedipus complex book. These are all, just books, and also a book by a Black Panther. And so she got all pissed off about this whole thing, and ended up being a giant problem over this. Wow. This woman was the wife of a fundamentalist minister, obviously, called the books filthy, disgusting trash, unpatriotic, and unduly favoring blacks, is how she put it. All of these books.
It's not the anarchist cookbook, for fuck's sake.
No. So on June 27th of that year, 1,000 local residents came. People kept their kids home from school because those books were in schools. That was the protest. There was books that were... It's fucking insane. So the boycott escalated. 9,000 of the 45,000 elementary school students in the county were kept home from school.
Unbelievable.
That's fucking 20% of the kids were kept home from school. Miners, bus drivers, truck workers, everybody joined this boycott of this whole thing. People called for a compromise, let's have a nice compromise here. And so instead, a Reverend Charles Quigley asked Christians to, quote, pray that God will kill the giants who have mocked and made fun of dumb fundamentalists. So
he calls for violence.
So he calls for violence, and then there ended up being bombings. So
unbelievable.
That's what ended up. Bombs were planted at an elementary school and at a school board building. Another elementary school was dynamited. School buses were attacked with shotguns, and the homes of children who continued to attend school during the boycott were stoned.
What the hell?
This was in the 70s. This isn't the 1700s. This is the 1974, not 1774 or 1674.
This is a smidge less vicious than the mine riot.
This is some serious Salem witch shit. Anyway, a guy named Marvin Horan ended up being sentenced to three years in prison on charges related to the bombings, and that was pretty much it. And
holy hell!
And by the time 1975 came around, the school board brought all the books that they had approved that these people bitched about ended up being in the schools anyway. So all this was again for nothing.
Wow!
People don't like change,
but. If you did that shit today with school, if you bomb a school, you will
dynamited school buses with shotguns,
pulled apart in the streets.
3 years,
forget it.
They felt though he was justified. He was doing it for his Christian beliefs. Jesus, so
the good of all children everywhere.
All children everywhere. Now, as of 1960, was the peak of this town's population. It was 11,000 people there in 1960 because it was a lot of work, and then it's gone down since then. As of right now, 7,571 people there. Mm-hmm. So it's gone down 7% since 1990. The median age here is about 47, which is about 10 years older than our normal average.
It's a bit high.
It's a bit high. And the people here are old. All the old demographics are high. All the kid demographics are low.
Yeah.
Female population's like 53%. So all the hallmarks of old people living here we have in terms.
Wish you could get the IQ collectively.
In terms of numbers. That would take a long time. We'd have to go from shanty to shanty through the county.
Lean to lean to.
See how that goes. So, race of this town, it's about 81% white, which, Nitro is like 97% white. It's about 10% black, 1.27% Asian, about, 2% Hispanic. So, West Virginia is what it is here.
Real mixed.
Yeah. The religion here, 37% are religious, so less than I would have thought.
Yeah.
There's some Catholics, some Baptists. It's just a mixed bag. A lot of other Christian faith, whatever that is, the God of coal. Right. I don't know how that works. Voting wise, politically, 57% Republican in the county in the last election, 37% Democrat, 6% independent. Unemployment rate is a little over 5%, which is high for the country right now. It's about 4% in the rest of the country. Median household income is about $42,000.
Right.
It's almost $58,000 in the rest of the country. Okay. So that's a little bit less, and that's kind of the problem here with some of this. There's older people, less income. It's kind of a dying town when it comes to that.
You fight progress. You fight fucking wages, too.
And a lot of the times, these small towns, if people don't move there, if there's no reason to move there, then eventually the population dies off. Young people leave because there's no reason to be there if you're 30, and, careers are hard to come by. And so you go to where there's careers. That's all there is to it. Cost of living, 80, 100 being average par. Here it's about 80. And the thing that's super low is housing. The median home cost here is $82,100, which is fucking low.
Super affordable.
Yeah, I would say 70% of the houses here are between $60,000 and $150,000.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, if we've convinced you need to go to West Virginia and argue about textbooks, we have for you the Dunbar, West Virginia Real Estate Report. Your average 2-bedroom rental here is about $840, so it's less than normal, but maybe a little high for here. I found a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. It's about 1,076 square feet. Needs some work, Jimmy. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's livable. $52,700.
Okay.
So I mean, that's not bad. Yeah. I mean, you can work that out. You can mortgage that out, and not even if you're making little money, you can do that.
Minimal. That's what is it, $600 a month at best?
If that. If that. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,438 square foot. Yeah. Again, it needs to be updated, this place. It's just, the kitchen looks like it's from the 80s. It's that sort of thing. But $128,000.
My word.
So it's a lot of house for that little money. And then I found kind of that house, but updated. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,510 square feet. All updated, backsplashes and all that shit. $224,900.
Okay.
About an extra $100,000 to have it all updated, which is what it would cost you to do it anyway. So
not cheap.
There you go. I found a resident review. Actually, found several of them being 1 stars. There's this one site that has resident reviews, and there's usually like one that's 1 star or whatever. Here I found a bunch. Okay. I'm just going to kind of put them into one and just put all their major complaints into one here.
Right.
And I quote, "Housing in Dunbar is terrible. Most people don't take care of their place whatsoever, and so many houses are abandoned and overgrown. Nobody really moves here. It's a dying town, and that is very obvious. The only employment opportunities are minimum wage jobs and car shops. Any job that is good is filled with the local residents who are not pleasant people whatsoever and make it miserable to work anywhere. Local business is dirty, and the owners do not care about their facilities. People are too poor to go elsewhere, so they are still able to stay open. Too many people do not care about their jobs or how to do them."
Welcome to Detroit, West Virginia.
Fucking Jesus. That's a bleak assessment right there.
That's a Grim Karen outtake.
That's just, that is Grim Karen's resident review. Resident review brought to you by Grim Karen. Things to do here. Jesus. I found the Dunbar Fall Festival. Free to the public. There's food and vendors and a bunch of bands.
Bunch of orange shit.
Toothless Ruth plays there.
What?
It's a band. I don't know. Gospel Sunday they have there. And Kids Day on Saturday, where they have archery, Irish road bowling,
What?
You're doing it wrong. If you're that hammered, where you're tossing the ball in the road, you fucked up. You made a wrong turn when you came out of the bathroom in the alley, asshole. Jesus Christ.
Just roll it down the alley. It's an alley.
It's not crowded tonight. That's good. And quote inflatable games, whatever that is, and also the Dunbar, West Virginia Redhead Festival.
That's not fun.
It's a free event. They're trying to participate in the gathering for the most redheads in one place. Is what they're trying. And a portion of the proceeds, I swear, my first joke was it will take place on the first cloudy Saturday of the month. That was my joke, and then the next line I read is, a portion of these proceeds will go to the Melanoma Research Foundation. Raising skin cancer awareness is important because we gingers burn. That's what it says. So I was like, I made a joke. And redheads are asked to wear white. All others are asked to wear red. This is fucking creepy.
It's amazing.
They have...
Why make them wear white? We know where they're at.
We got you.
We can see them.
Head's bright fucking red. We can see you from above. Chief, redhead registration is at 9:00, so make sure to get there.
Wear white to signify you're a virgin. We know.
We get it. We gotcha. Gotcha, Gingy. 12 p.m., group picture of all registered redheads. 11:30 a.m., Scottish princess ceremony. I don't know what the hell that's all about.
Yeah.
Co-authors of How to Be a Redhead are going to be there talking at 12 to 2. And then the Redhead Mermaid Princess from 1 to 2 p.m. I don't know what that's
because they can't say Ariel because it's like a trademark.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, the Disney's Redhead.
the redhead half fish chick from that cartoon flick.
Cartoon child movie Redhead. It's like an Asian buffet
with her crab friend.
You know how that goes. Jesus Christ. Can win a gift basket and a Wild and Wonderful West Virginia gift basket you can win here. I don't know what that's all about. Crime rate, but we're interested in here. Property crime is slightly high in this town, and violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and of course assault,
Absolutely.
the Mount Rushmore of crime, is slightly high as well.
Really?
Neither of them are anything out of the ordinary, but they're both above the rate slightly. So nothing crazy though in terms of this town isn't known for a high crime rate or anything like that. It's known for just kind of being, like the residents said, kind of a depressed, it's kind of a dying, being squeezed, I put it, basically.
They celebrate redheads.
They celebrate redheads. Celebrate them. They have a whole parade, a registration, a group photo to prove they were all there. Look, we exist.
We all have reflections.
See?
Look, we showed up in a picture.
We're
not cursed.
We're going to dispel one myth. Redheads are not vampires. See? Look, you can see us all.
Incredible.
Here's all of us in front of a mirror. Oh, wait, no, there's two. Well, those two are vampires, but the rest of us are not. Very few redheads are vampires.
The majority, we will have to say.
We'll go out on a limb.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked, God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well.
Right.
And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, it's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on.
And it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back.
Do it.
That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your
all different.
Multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure, yeah. Stay
focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about a murder, I think.
Yeah, we may as well.
I think it's time to talk about a murder here. We'll go back to June 24th, 1971. Okay. So we are getting in the time machine this week. Yeah. And we are going back 1971. This is right before... Picture the environment we're in. That 1974 was the whole school book controversy. Right. So we're in a pretty conservative, this isn't a real freewheeling kind of a place. I feel like this is people are
by the book.
They're God-fearing. They're by the book. They go to work. They come home. I'm sure they drink a lot of beer and shit like that and beat the shit out of their wives and stuff. But I don't think they're, whatever. They're very conservative here is what I'm getting at. June 24th, 1971. It is about 11 p.m. This happens. There's 4 teenage kids, and they're 12, 13, 14 of that age. One of them's 12, 2 of them are 13, one of them's 14. Yeah, they're young teens, and they went to a baseball game. They went to a baseball game in Hamlin, West Virginia, and the game gets over about 10:30. About 11 o'clock, they're trying to get home, and they are hitchhiking to get home, which this was a time...
You could do that.
Oh God! And this, maybe by 71, maybe people in California were starting to realize that shit was a little dangerous with, Zodiac, and there was more like publicized murder. But in West Virginia, this is safe. This is as safe as it gets. One of your Christian neighbors going to pick you up and drop you off at church if you want. I mean, it's all going to be fine.
Was the baseball team called the Reds?
I believe it was. Yeah. Oh, yes, it was. It was the. Well, they were the Reds, but then they were covered in coal dust. So not quite anymore. So these 4 kids, this is John Triplett, Paul Roberts, Guy Anderson Plumley, and David Lee Mullins. So they're hitchhiking home on State Route 3 after the baseball game. And they're picked up. They get a ride. Good for them. That's a score. Nobody wants to drive through the hills of West Virginia at 11 o'clock at night all the way home. All alone. They're picked up by a man driving a light blue 1969 Chevrolet Chevy car.
Okay.
They're picked up by him. And the man driving the car is a guy named Kent Lemoyne Sly.
Okay.
Lemoyne is his middle name. Lemoyne.
That
Lemoyne.
is a weird middle name.
It's a very weird middle name. Sly. Slie.
They should be switched.
Yeah, Sly Lemoyne would be better. But Kent Sly here. At the time, he is 25 years old. He's a 25-year-old dude. So if you get picked up as teenagers, you'd rather be picked up by like kind of a younger person like that.
Dude with weed.
Maybe he's going to slip you a beer. I bet he's got a pack of cigarettes up on the fucking dashboard. He wouldn't mind you grabbing one.
It's like a fun Uber.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing like that. Like some Hunter Thompson book I remember he was talking about. Picked up a couple 13-year-old runaways. He goes, I gave him a ride down there and gave him a pack of cigarettes I had on me and a fucking 6-pack of beer and sent them on their way.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah, they were like, that's a score. So
it's the best ride ever.
Absolutely. And he didn't do anything else to them, which is even better.
Bonus.
Just left them off. Well, he didn't put that in the book anyway.
Right.
So
At
you
least
wouldn't
he
do
didn't
that.
admit to it.
Yeah, he's not admitting to that shit. So he is currently at this time a sheet metal worker here. Sly is Kent Sly, not the 13-year-olds he was picking up. And although it's West Virginia, you never know. There might be something down there in the mine for them to do. So at this time, he is on parole for a grand larceny conviction that he had, that he served time at Moundsville prison for. So, I mean, it's a grand larceny conviction. It's not a violent crime, but he's still on parole, and he's picking up teenage kids. He's originally from New Martinsville, which is in Wetzel County, West Virginia. So he's not from this area, but he's been living here recently and been working here. He came to the county after his release from prison to learn sheet metal work at the State Rehabilitation Center. So he's living here he's basically like episode, what was it, Raynham, Massachusetts, I want to say. Was that episode 2 or something, I believe.
It's been a while.
Where the guy was, like a work training thing, and that's why he was in the area too.
Okay.
We had that sort of thing here. So he's learning sheet metal work. Which, I mean, shit, if you're out of prison, you have nothing to do, maybe you should stop stealing shit and learn some sheet metal. I don't know.
It's a good trade.
It's something,
It's honest.
And especially back then, too, there was probably a lot more to do with sheet metal than there is now. A sheet metal worker back then, it's a good profession.
Back then, you could build cars with it.
Yeah,
Today, you can't do that shit. It's all plastic.
Can't do anything with fucking, I'm sure sheet metal is...
Sheet metal fabrication, what are you going to do? Nothing. You're going to do nothing.
I remember metal shop. Sheet metal's hard.
You're going to build buildings. That's what you're going to do.
That's it. Yeah.
That's about it, right?
I guess.
Put trailers back together.
I'm sure there's tons of stuff they do.
Sheet metal, I can't think of
tuna
any.
cans. I don't know what you're doing. But,
that's not fun.
In metal shop, they had us make a little box out of it. Yeah. That's what they had to do. Yeah.
Weld fucking 6 pieces together.
Yeah, to do a box. It was one piece of tin, and then you had to like snip a box out of it, and then make a box, and then each side had to be like put to, fastened in a different way. To be like a spot weld here and a fucking rivet over here, and then a bead over here, a fucking arc, over there. So it was all. I like it. I retained none of that shit. I was like, this is terrible. I don't want to do any of this.
That's very interesting to me.
God awful. I failed that class horribly because I just was like, this is awful. I don't want to fucking work with metal. Not that there's anything wrong with working with metal, but it just didn't speak to me, and I just didn't have any interest in it.
This seems difficult all day.
Difficult, yeah. So, Jesus Christ, man. So John Triplett was the one kid. He gets into the front seat, next to the door, in the front seat. Drive passenger seat. David Lee Mullins gets in the back seat in the middle, and Gary Anderson Plumley is in the back seat on the left, and Paul Roberts is in the back seat on the right.
Okay.
So it goes Anderson, Mullins, Roberts in the back seat lined up. Triplett in the front seat. Kent Sly driving. On parole. Okay. So, Plumley and Mullins, get into the front seat after that for some reason, with Mullins sitting in the middle, I guess. They hop into the front seat, and, Plumley says that at this point they're driving, and Kent Sly offers them $5 each. If not for sexual shit. I know what you're thinking. He offers them $5 each if the kids would help him load some stolen property into the trunk of his car.
He's telling children this shit's
teenagers,
stolen? Okay.
Yeah, but This is kids don't give a shit. Yeah. They said, fuck yeah, let's do it. It's $5 in 1971 in West Virginia. That's money. That's something. Today. Yeah, it's at least in West Virginia too back then. The economy was not great. So
and we don't have to blow you? Sure.
Yeah, it sounded great. Now, this is a bad move. Okay. Right away, I can tell that never do that. Never do. When I was 13 years old, I was in Phoenix for a year, and I had a friend of mine, and we were at this McDonald's. It was a Tatum and Bell, that McDonald's over there. Jimmy would know. Anybody from Phoenix would know this.
I think it's still there.
It's still there. Yeah. We were at that McDonald's there, and this guy was outside. It was like 9:00 at night. We were fucking off, and there was this guy outside, and I walked out, and I saw my friend getting into a pickup truck with some dude, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing there? And my friend was like a blonde kid too. I don't know if he might have been attractive to somebody who's into that sort of thing, into pedophilia. Yeah. So I ended up following, because I was behind him. I ended up following, and I hopped in. I go, what the fuck's going on? We're both the same age, but I've always been a dick.
You're already 6'1" also.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. No, I had a growth spurt. I was like 6'2" at this point.
Jesus.
So I was just always a dick. So I said, what the fuck's going on? And my friend Mike turns to me and he goes, hey man, this guy, he'll give us $50 each if we'll help him he's got a bunch of silver, and he's some bullshit with silver or something. And I look at the guy, and he's a total scumbag. He's in this shitty little S10 pickup truck, and I had a switchblade in my pocket. I fucking pulled it out, and I said, we're leaving the fucking car now. And I threatened to cut the guy, and me and Mike got out of the thing. I said, I will fucking cut you, motherfucker. I was a lunatic at that point in time, and I dragged my friend out of the car, and that was the end of it. And I wish somebody would have had a switchblade in this scenario.
Okay.
Yes, I carried a switchblade when I was 13.
I carry a pocket knife. Yeah, that's what they call it. It's a big pocket knife.
Yeah,
I got a few of them.
I got one that actually it was like an actual stiletto. It would pop. It scared the shit out of this guy too. I was like, I told him I cut his throat, and so I said, we're leaving. That was that.
You're a lunatic.
So I could have been had a
you
different.
You may have saved a kid's life,
or I could have had a very different life after cutting a pedophile's throat in the fucking McDonald's parking lot at 13.
What if that pedophile is really pedophiled into getting in your butthole too?
No,
and he's got a gun. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Then you got to cut him, man.
I would have had to cut him. That would have had to be the way to go. But I'm just saying, this is for a kid. I can see the $5 because my friend didn't even think twice about it. Sure. He was literally like, yeah, this is great, dude, this is awesome.
$50.
I was
James.
like, no. All we have to do is get in his car and drive out to the middle. Yeah, okay, that sounds great.
Nobody gives $50 to kids.
No, not
your
for
aunt
anything non-sexual.
Even give that to you on Christmas.
Yeah, that's
the fuck out of the car.
Is it your birthday? Is that your grandma? Well, then they're molesting you.
It's certainly about to be your death day.
It's about to be something. So the boys agree to this offer. And they say, okay, so the car gets driven to a remote section off the main road. Yeah. So now he's got 4 teenage kids here driving off to a remote section. He stops the car, gets out of the car, and walks around to the trunk and opens it. Yeah. So at this time, 2 of the boys get out on the right side of the car, and they walk back to the trunk. And at this point, Kent turns to them and says, by the way, I have a gun in my pocket, and you guys are kidnapped. So you're not going anywhere. He ain't going anywhere. Yeah. There's no stolen property, and you're certainly not getting $5. So
worst of all, no money.
There's no fuck. I have no cash on me, so this isn't going to work at all. So he ends up taking the Plumlee kid.
Any little hot motherfucker see an ATM around here?
Yeah. Unless you've seen an ATM, then you're kidnapped. Otherwise, it'll be a paid kidnapping, but you're still kidnapped. So this ends up happening. The Plumlee kid is put in the trunk of the car, and the trunk is closed behind him. Oh boy. Then this guy, before this, I'm sorry, I meant to tell you this too. The other 2 kids besides Plumlee and Mullins were dropped off at their house before this.
So he's only got 2.
He's only got 2 okay. Once he gets off the main road. Okay. These kids said they needed to go home, so drop them off, and he's got these 2 kids going out to pay him $5 for stolen property. Okay. Got a gun in my pocket, kidnapped. Stuffs 1 kid in the trunk of the car and closes the trunk on him. How scary is that?
Horrifying.
You're kidnapped, and you've now been put in a trunk in the middle.
I can't even imagine.
If you're in a trunk, you don't know what's going on out there. fucking frightening.
I mean, when I got robbed at gunpoint and stuffed into that into the fridge, at least that fridge is not mobile.
At least it's a room too. Like it's not a fucking. You're not. You can fit in the fridge. Is what I'm getting.
Oh, there's plenty of room.
Yeah,
tons of room.
It's not.
I got to run around in that.
Yeah, it's a walk-in other than a dark closet or a dark trunk sounds.
And they left the light on. I thought that was
nice of them.
Yeah.
That's good of them. Yeah, but I mean, at any point, the trunk could pop open and you can get the opening of Goodfellas Joe Pesci treatment here at any time. You're defenseless.
Any minute.
You're in a trunk, for Christ's sake. So this is disturbing here. So the trunk is closed. So then Kent Sly takes David Lee Mullins a short distance from the car and tells him to take his clothes off and lie down in the middle of the road.
Oh, boy.
In the middle of the road.
Yeah.
There's woods everywhere. He takes him and makes him lie down in the middle of the road where, this is uncomfortable, so I'm going to quote directly from court documents. Yeah. Whenever I'm uncomfortable with something, I just quote directly from court documents. That way it ain't my fucking words.
Okay.
Blame the state of West Virginia.
We're documenting it.
Yeah. Had him lie down in the middle of the road, quote, whereupon the driver of the car then committed the act of sodomy upon his anus.
Okay.
I don't know.
In the road?
In the middle of the road.
That's dangerous, it seems like.
That's what I'm saying. This guy, fucking kidnapping, pedophilia is not dangerous enough. Right. Aberrant enough sexual behavior for you. It needs to be in the middle of the road, too. It's got to be a thrill thing on top of it.
In case somebody could see it, maybe they don't see you and you get run over.
It's midnight in the middle of West Virginia. I don't think there's street lights around here. You're going to get run over by somebody. They're going to think you're an animal and fucking run you over. And he's out there...
Oh, good Lord. Assaulting a child.
Assaulting a child in the road, a 13-year-old kid in the middle of the street.
Okay.
This is beyond disturbing at this point. So how would you like to be the kid in the trunk while this is going on?
Oh, you can hear
because
that.
You can hear it.
Oh, boy.
You can fucking hear all of this going on, and I'm sure it couldn't have been a comfortable scenario for this kid, and I'm sure this kid was speaking out. I assume he wasn't quiet.
Right.
I don't know how you would be, so... calling for help or something. So, Jesus Christ, this is nuts. So after he's done, he drags this kid out of the road, and he forces him, Jesus Christ, he forces Mullins into the trunk of the car with the other kid and closes it. Okay, so now they're both in the trunk of the car. This kid's had been horribly violated in the middle of the street, and now he's going to tell the other kid about it. And fucking, what's he going to do now to us?
We're in a lot of trouble.
This is I can't imagine a scarier scenario for children, especially. This is, I mean, for an adult, you wouldn't know what the fuck to do. Never mind if you're 13, 14 years old, and especially if you're 13, 14, and these kids aren't from like modern day big city. They're from a 1971 small hill town. Like they're they don't even know this behavior exists, so they're innocent.
Except for when they see that one weird kid. Because in the small towns, that weird kid that like does that stuff to animals and shit.
Oh, there's who's a real vicious psycho motherfucker. Who does horrible shit.
Yeah.
But they don't know about they don't
know what that is.
They don't think some guy's going to if a guy's going to kidnap him, it wouldn't be to rape him in the middle of the street, I don't think. I doubt that's not even a concern that they have at this point in their minds. So at this point, he drives, Kent Sly drives for approximately 30 minutes.
Oh, good Lord.
Imagine being in that fucking trunk.
May as well have been 30 hours. 30
minutes. It had to have felt like 30 hours.
Yeah.
Every bump had to feel. And then when he finally stops, you had to be like, oh, no.
Yeah. Is that a stop sign or is it over?
The only thing scarier than this ride would be this ride ending. Yeah, I would think it would be like the walk to the electric chair. Like the only thing scarier than the walk is actually reaching your destination. Yeah. So he ends up stopping finally in Lincoln County near Little Laurel Creek. Okay. Now Kent Sly at this point takes Mullins out of the trunk again. The same boy he violated in the street, and closes the trunk with Plumlee still inside.
Okay.
So now he's pulling this kid out, and this Plumlee kid's, number one, got to be petrified. Number two, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What am I?
What, chop liver?
Yeah. No, I don't mean to assault, but you have no plans for me at all? Like, what?
Am I just going to be tortured all night listening and
That's
watching
what I mean.
This
is
stuff?
what's the plan for me?
Right.
And I'm a little insulted. I'm just kidding. That's terrible. No, it's not true. So, so he closes it. This poor kid's still in there, this Plumlee kid. So the driver here, Kent Sly, takes Mullins and walks him down to a shallow creek in the woods. This is
Little Laurel Creek.
Right. This is frightening. So you figure his plans for you, no matter what, they're not good.
Right.
He's at the very least, the best thing he's done so far, not the best, but the only thing he's done so far is stuff you in a trunk and sexually assault you. So
these are things that, not that you can get over them, but you can live a life through it. You know what I mean? After this, but not walking down to a creek.
This is bad.
Yeah.
In the dark at midnight, this is bad.
You're getting walked into the woods or to a body of water. That's frightening.
That's trouble. Yeah, that's almost as bad as being told to dig a hole. Right. That would be the only thing worse is if they said, "Hey, by the way, dig a hole."
You can usually come to a logical conclusion with that one.
At least you have a shovel at that point. Right. You can at least defend. They take some sort of action.
Right.
But
that is an interesting thought. Like, here, dig a hole. You just armed me.
Well, usually you're holding a gun on somebody, which is gun trumps shovel. Obviously,
their weapon is usually.
You can at least. I mean, it's hard to hit a moving target with a gun. With a gun, it's easier with a shovel. So you can just swing that shovel back and forth. Moving your head. It's better than getting shot, definitely.
It's true.
If you take me in the woods and try to kill me and you give me a shovel, I'm going to take the shovel and try to fuck you up with it. I'm sorry. You're going to have to shoot me. I'm not digging the hole. Put it that way.
One way or another, you're digging
the
hole.
fucking
I'm not
hole.
digging this shit.
And you're probably going to have at least some sort of shovel mark on your head because I'm coming at you. And I'm a big guy. You can shoot me, and I'm still probably going to have another swing left in me at least.
So. One shot's not going to finish it.
You better fucking stand back pretty far. Yeah. Just put it that way. And I'll be juking and jiving. You're not hitting me in the head. I'll be head faking like a motherfucker out there. You have no idea. I'll look like Floyd Mayweather out there.
I'll put my best spin move on you.
Fainting. I'm making all sorts of boxing movements that no one can see.
All kinds of Muhammad Ali.
Only for Jimmy. So
you were floating.
That was floating like a butterfly. I'm about to sting like a bee, bitch. So, this fucking mess. So what he does here, this Sly, is he takes Mullins down there, and I don't know what the conversation was, but he ends up grabbing, once they get to the creek, he grabs Mullins around the throat and starts choking him and tries to dunks his head under the water and starts trying to drown him while he's choking him. So he's now got this kid, and he's just trying to hold his head underwater by his throat and choke him. So Mullins, though, this kid's a fucking scrapper, and he's a fighter. He manages, while this is going on, he's reaching around, and on the side of a creek, he's just reaching around. He finds a good-sized rock.
You betcha.
Grabs onto that shit and cracks Sly in the forehead with it.
Oh, man.
Fucking whomped him good, apparently, with this rock. And then this caused Sly to let him go, and this kid just took off into the woods.
Attaboy.
Fucking ran. He didn't give a shit which direction. Yeah. Better than this.
Right.
Let the animals take me. I don't know. There's a chance, at least.
I'd rather be eaten by a bear.
At least, I'd rather maybe be eaten by a bear than definitely be drowned by this fucking pedophile. So, the other kid, so then he's got one in the trunk still.
Yeah.
So now he goes to the kid in the trunk. He's got Plumlee in the trunk. And this had to be a hard decision. What do you do now? One kid ran away in the woods in the dark. You're never going to find this kid. He's fucking gone.
Yeah.
A scared kid running through the woods in the dark, you're not finding him.
I mean,
especially with a forehead wound.
The best plan of action at this moment was, as somebody that's clear thinking that didn't just rape a child and try to drown him, open the trunk, let that kid out, and fucking floor it.
And get the fuck out of here and move to Mexico.
I've never seen those kids in my life.
I don't know what you're talking about.
DNA doesn't exist.
Habla.
Who?
I see. Espanol?
No.
Espanol. See? To just shake your head. I don't know. No.
I got nothing.
No English. I shrug a lot. I don't know.
No English. I got nothing.
I'm from here. I'm sorry. So
I was in the bathroom.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom. I didn't see nothing. I don't know nothing about it. So instead, this guy, he has a decision to make. He had to figure it out. Yeah. So he slowly makes his way back to the car and opens the trunk, and there's Plumlee in there, scared shitless, not knowing what happened. He doesn't know.
He has no idea. His buddy just ran.
He doesn't know what the fuck just happened. So he's just like, did you just kill my friend? When you left, there was two of you. Right. You came back, there's one of you.
Right. And you're here to get me.
I doubt you dropped my friend off at Baskin Robbins for some ice cream. So
did you walk him home?
Yeah, he's home with his mom now. Good. But instead of pulling him out and repeating the process, Sly tells Plumlee, get the hell out of here. And fucking Plumlee quickly does that. He jumps out of the trunk and runs as fast as he can in whatever direction he can down the road, just out of there.
So his plan is the non-pedophile plan.
His plan was, I'm fucked. Yeah. They saw me. They know who I am. I can't kill this kid now because that kid's definitely going to fucking tell somebody about this. I better let this one go, and at least I don't have a murder charge on my hand. So that's at least... he's thinking, to me, that definitely shows a logical progression of thinking. There's no like craziness here. You can say that much. So this kid ran away and he drove off. Sly drove off like nothing ever happened. This was on June 24th. Okay. This all happened. Now, the kids ran immediately to a house, first house they found, and banged on the door at midnight and said, we were kidnapped and please call the police and all this shit. So, they'll get your attention. Yeah. If a nude child is banging on your door at midnight saying they need the police, wow, that's frightening. So the police end up issuing a warrant on June 27th, and they go to find Kent Sly, and they find him in his car outside of his home in Hamlin, which is in Lincoln County, on June 28th, 1971 at 11 p.m. Okay. So this was a week late. This took a few days, or 4 days. One of the officers said that he was advised of his rights at that point, right when he was arrested. They didn't waste any time with that. He was taken to the Hamlin State Police headquarters, where he was questioned, obviously, concerning the warrants that they had out for him. We're going to go out on a limb here, buddy. Did you happen to, I don't know, kidnap a bunch of teenagers? Yeah. And, you raped one of them. Remember that? Yeah, in the middle of the street. There's that. Forcible sodomy is a thing in this state, especially for a kid. It's not a good thing to do. They have questions for him, is what I'm getting at. So,
is that you?
Is that you? That wasn't you, right? That wasn't cool. That's not cool, dude.
We're going to ask a question that we're pretty sure you're going to say wasn't me.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Did you do that? So he's then taken to the Hamlin police headquarters. He's questioned for all this shit. Soon after, they brought the kids into the police station to ID him, obviously. So what they did was they took the kids one at a time into the room where he was being interrogated and had them look at him and identify him. They didn't do a two-way glass. They didn't do a lineup.
Just look into that.
They just had him walk in the room with the guy sitting there, and they said, "Is this fucking asshole?" And the kids were like, "That's the guy." And they were like, "All right, then." They turned the kids around and walked them out.
Oh my God.
That was it. Which is, they do that, but not usually at a police station. When you're at a police station, once the guy's under arrest, it's usually, you have to do a lineup and shit. Yeah. There's a gray area because you can do IDs in other scenarios. Yeah. I read a whole case on this, trying to figure this out, and it's super complicated, and you'd really have to be a judge because it seems like it's completely arbitrary when it's one thing and when it's the other. It's just what that judge decides at that point in time. So, whatever.
I caught a guy stealing copper, and I called the police and reported him. Yeah. They caught the guy, had him in an alleyway, and then brought me over there, had me stand by my vehicle. They walked him out behind a wall. The most awkward thing ever.
An on-scene ID. That's normal.
That's so awkward.
That's normal. They'll take victims or something, and they'll point them out there. Yeah. That's kind of once you get them in the station, though, you have the wherewithal to do a lineup at that point. Yeah. You can get a bunch of other people. You can do a lineup. You can do it. So that's the point, where they didn't do that.
So awkward. The guy is so defeated, and he's handcuffed, and he just slumped over, looking at me like, "Can you just?" He's begging, "Just say it wasn't me."
Yeah, please. It wasn't me, right? Come on.
Never seen me before, right?
You know me better than that, man. What have we been through? How much shit have we been through?
The funniest part was it was after we had talked about bindles so many times on this show. Yeah. And then he was carrying a bindle.
Oh, awesome.
And so I told that to the police. They brought him around the corner, showed me him. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy. I'm like, "Where's your bindle, bro?" And the cop standing next to me goes, "What's a bindle?"
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God.
Come on, man.
He goes, "What's a bindle?"
Cops should know hobo terminology, I feel like.
I'm like, bro, there's a train right there. Go ask anybody that's riding that
You're dealing with probably a lot of homeless people. You should know a bindle. Give me a fucking break.
Bindle?
What's a bindle?
Well, look
out of here.
That shit in the alley that he's got bundled up with all my shit in it.
Yeah.
That's a bindle.
Bindle. He's got a bundle of a bindle. He's got a bindle bundle at the moment.
A bundle of wire, that's a bindle.
That's a bindle bundle. We call that bundle a bindle around here, my friend. Jesus Christ.
Funniest thing ever.
So each of the kids identified him as being the driver of the car who picked them up on the night of the 24th. The only people in the room besides Sly and the kids were the other uniformed state police officers were there. After they did what they call a show up, which is just the ID, visual ID, he's then driven. They get old Kent Sly and they pick him up and they put him in a car and they drive him to Huntington. Somewhere different, another town, where he undergoes several lie detector tests, because they're very concerned about a missing and then found dead 13-year-old boy that they found about 2 months before that. This person was
none of these four.
No, it's not these four kids that he picked up. This is a kid. This was 2 months before all of this.
Got it.
In April of 1971, a 13-year-old boy named Daniel Collins, who just turned 13 years old, disappeared. March 24th of 1971. He was out doing his afternoon paper route as innocent small town paper route. 12-year-old kid doing a small town paper route. Afternoon paper and never came home.
Jesus.
So I mean, it should be safe to do an afternoon paper route in a small town in 1971.
Fucking sun's up.
And it wasn't. So then they had him. By the way, this boy that they found, Daniel Collins, had been sexually assaulted and strangled. The little boy.
All right.
Yeah.
Paper route kid.
Paper route kid. It was sexually assaulted and strangled.
It's an interesting MO.
It's by a creek too.
Very familiar. Oh boy, really?
Yeah, we'll talk about this. We'll talk all about it. So they questioned him because that's what the police went, that's interesting. Where did he take you to a creek?
Right.
And then, okay, well, let's get him in here.
Very interesting.
So he takes some lie detector tests. They take him to the state police barracks again and they question him again, about the murder. Now, this kid, like we said, he didn't come home after delivering his paper route on March 24th. He was found, his body was found on March 25th. Okay. Collins. It was found near Fraser's Bottom, which is an unincorporated little area in Putnam County. Okay. But he was taken from Dunbar, where he was, whatever. That's where they found his body. He had been sexually molested and strangled to death. The body was covered with sand and water. Oh, no. So it was like a shallow creek area. Covered with sand and water, and was found about a mile off a US 35 on a secondary road called Plantation Road. A school bus driver spotted the body as he made his rounds. How the fuck did a school bus driver make your rounds and see a mostly, I guess if it was the right light or something.
Or he pulled over to smoke a joint.
Take a piss.
Yeah.
I'm getting a real like Heyman Lee thing here where like the dude was like, went and took a piss. Oh, in the deep, thick woods 100 feet off the road he had to piss? I don't think so. Nobody's that fucking gun shy about pissing. You know what I mean? No.
I don't know. As a school bus driver, you might want to, because you don't stop at toilets throughout the day. You know what I mean?
Probably not. Well, I mean, you go to the depot in the middle.
Hours.
Yeah, you go for a couple hours. You bring the bus in, and you go back out in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I think. I don't think you're always.
I don't know their schedule.
I don't know.
You're not driving around all day.
I doubt it. You're just see you later.
Right. But they are drinking coffee. You know how fast you got to piss when you drink coffee,
especially with that bumpy bus ride going. Yeah.
Goddamn bumpy driver's seat.
Jesus. So the driver spotted the young Daniel's body there. Yeah. Dunbar residents raised more. This is fucking this. They banded together, these people. This is not a wealthy area, and these people don't have a lot of money. They went door to door to solicit contributions for a reward fund to find out who killed this kid.
So
it's fucking heartbreaking. They raised $1,500.
That's great.
There, which in 1971 in that area, it's a lot of money, as a reward for anyone coming forth with information leading to the arrest and conviction of his killer. They went and conducted a full-time investigation. They had a long list of leads that quickly dried up, and they were at a dead end. By the middle of April, they were at a complete dead end. He was taken at the end of March.
And these are so hard to solve when it's like that, because it's typically statistically somebody close by. You know what I mean? It's rare when it's a stranger like this. They're so fucking hard to solve.
It is. So they didn't know what to do. Once everything dried up, they started calling in this area. I've noticed, because there was a missing little little girl, and they brought in profilers. So they bring in psychological profilers. In 1971, that is ahead of the curve.
There's like 3 people to do it.
Yeah, that's well ahead of the curve. That's really just kind of a budding thing at this point that a lot of people don't even take seriously. Right. A lot of people think it's bullshit still in the early 70s. Yeah. They said that the profile here said the type of man being sought by them is probably a withdrawn, I'm going to quote right from the report here, he's probably a withdrawn, shy homosexual who can't accept his condition and kills not for the thrill of it, but to avoid capture. This is a clinical psychologist at Marshall University said that.
No wonder they thought it was bullshit, because you read that and you've never heard of this stuff before.
Yeah.
You read that and you're like, yeah, that's just somebody that wants to say something horrible to somebody.
Exactly, yeah. And then people have a loathing for themselves.
Here's a guy that does this, latent homosexual, and they're like, Jesus, man, you got to call him that.
Yeah, come on, man. Jesus.
Take it easy.
At least he should be a fine, upstanding Christian, no? It's one thing to call the man a murderer, but a homosexual?
Jesus, you guys.
You're calling him a homosexual. Now, that's a whole different thing now. I'm sorry. Murder's one thing. You can get into heaven that way. Let's put it that way. You kill a guy, you say, hey, I'm sorry about it. You're right up there, no problem. But gay? Oh, boy.
We're going to have to pray for that boy.
We're going to have to pray. So, this is the clinical psychologist. He said that the person is not psychotic or crazy, might be married and the father of several children, might appear perfectly normal with even his wife unaware of his problem. To such an individual, the sexual assault, usually on small children, is an impulse that strikes periodically and can't be controlled. Stressful situations can spur such an attack. For such an early profile, the guy's pretty ahead of his time, honestly, for all of this shit.
He's nailing him as the most dangerous human being on earth.
Yeah, this is a weird thing that he says here. Women rarely are sex criminals because generally if they have a homosexual problem, which is a weird way of putting it, I guess a problem to them, they accept it instead of fighting it, is what he says. Men who accept this problem without burying it in their minds rarely become sex killers, he says. So, I mean, he's saying, like, if you're just gay and you're cool with it, those guys aren't going to do this. Because a lot of times they're like, well, we're looking for who's the swishiest guy in town. That's what they'd say. But no. He's the least likely guy to do it. He's fine with himself. He's looking for other adults to party with. Like, leave him out of this shit.
It's my favorite description of a gay
swishy.
Man. Swishy.
Yeah, because that's what they'd be like.
Richard Kuklinski called himself
swishy, yeah. I could see them hunting, though, looking around the coal mines. Hey, any of you guys dance good? Not the black guy. White guys. Any of you white guys dance good? Of course you dance good, goddammit. I'm asking the fucking white guys. We know they can't dance. You can dance. You're under arrest. Let's go.
Come here, you swishy fuck.
You swishy son bitch. Let's go. You know that's what they would have been thinking.
I love that Richard Kuklinski, like, he felt bad that he called himself that. I started acting real, swishy.
And then he felt bad about that. That's what he didn't want to say anything.
Smiled all sly.
And he goes, not that there's anything wrong. I love how he's describing brutal murders, but he doesn't want you to think he's a homophobe. He's like, listen, I'm a progressive guy. First of all.
I don't know. Does that real swishy?
You know how it is. I don't know. I don't want to insult anybody. It's like, just talked about shooting a crossbow through a guy's forehead 10 seconds ago. What the fuck are you talking about?
Taped a guy to a chair and let rats chew his dick off.
But, he's worried about how he's going to be perceived.
Swishy.
It's a little swishy. Jesus Christ.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmy had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. Yeah. You need that money a couple days early, or you go grocery shopping, you got a car payment due, there's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. SpotMe eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in SpotMe and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
So he goes on to say, because the murderer apparently committed the crime in a secluded spot and dumped the body in the woods, it's reasonable to assume he didn't want to be caught. Well, no shit. Some offenders want capture as a form of recognition. He says, quote, "It sounds a little trite to say it, but the killer could very well be anybody's next door neighbor." Jesus. So the typical scary small town could be anybody. Boogeyman. Yeah. Exactly. This is the case of the small town boogeyman. Yeah. It's absolutely that. Suspects here, who you
fucking everybody.
They find 4 suspects actually. Okay. Four young men are taken into custody for a separate thing and are almost charged with this. We're going to talk about it here. A guy named Elmer Doyle Lovejoy, which absolutely sounds like he will have a church that he will run at some point. Elmer Doyle Lovejoy, who's 20 years old. That name should never be a 20-year-old named Elmer Lovejoy. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's a swishy fella.
Come on. That sounds like an old man in overalls and a big beard with no mustache. Elmer Lovejoy here.
I just picture a guy. His last name is Lovejoy. He loves to fucking get joy fucking boys, doesn't he?
I pictured like the Simpsons preacher, Reverend Lovejoy there. So he's 20. Freddie Lee Counts, who's 24. A Clarence Silman, who's 20. And an Alfred Lee Kidd, who's 22. If you put Lovejoy and Kidd together, they did it. Right. I mean, just
Lovejoy and Kidd.
Lovejoy, Kidd. Fucking them two. Let Counts and Silman go. I don't know what to say about them. So they ended up pleading guilty and were sentenced for a robbery. They robbed a clothing store in Lawrenceville, Georgia.
All 4 of them?
All 4 of them, they did. They were doing armed robberies. They have several armed robberies around multiple states, Virginia, West Virginia, Georgia, all over. When searching the car, when they were caught, and they're all from Kanawha County in West Virginia, where we are. When searching the car, Georgia police found a color photograph of what appeared to be the body of a white male laying face down in a heavily wooded area.
Oh, boy.
So they said, we're looking for one of those. We found a white male head face down in a heavily wooded area. Gee, this is interesting. Let's talk to these kids for a while. They said the picture might have been of Collins and Daniel Collins, the missing child, and they were 100% interested in talking to these guys here. After a while, they said they studied the photograph under intense magnification and also questioned the 4 young men. And they ended up finding out that the photo was of, and these guys were in the paper, like they were about to charge them. Like child killers found, should be arrested, should be charged any day now. Turns out the picture was of a man who became intoxicated during a drinking party and was photographed after he passed out. So it was just some guy who got shit-faced at a party, passed out, and they were like, take a picture picture of Ted. He's fucking shit-faced. Holy hell. I'm gonna mail it to his mother. Take a picture. Come on.
Get a picture of that dummy.
That's what it was.
Unbelievable.
So these guys, everyone thought these kids were child murderers because of this picture, and they ended up being cleared of any involvement in the Daniel Collins slaying. But they also were charged with more robbery charges.
They're still lynched.
Oh, they're still absolutely fucked. Kidd and Counts received sentences of 10 years each.
Oh,
Jesus Christ! And Lovejoy and Selman got 5 years each in Georgia State Prison on robbery charges. Wow! But at least they're not going to.
It's not death.
They're not going death or life in prison.
Right.
So who did it?
Yeah.
Who killed this Daniel Collins? Was it Sly?
Good question.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Sly, who's he's a sheet metal worker we talked about at the time in Kewanee County. He was actually given a lie detector test when taken to Huntington and asked about the Collins crime. He was given a lie detector test. He was also taken to a wooded area at his own suggestion to search for various items which related to the murder of the boy.
Okay.
So he started saying, well, I mean, I don't know if I was going to go there, maybe I'd look for this, and then he slowly started
giving pieces?
Giving his own involvement.
Okay.
The search lasted for several hours on June 29th, and he was transferred back to Hamlin. He got back to Hamlin, and he ended up, within an hour of getting back from after the woods search, he signed a waiver of rights and gave a written statement to the West Virginia State Police relating to the June 24th incident with the 4 kids that he picked up.
Okay.
At 8:30 p.m. on June 29th, he was put back in jail, and then he was arraigned the next day on kidnapping charges for the 4 kids.
Okay.
Sly ended up being indicted in November 1971, and then re-indicted again in March of 1972 for the kidnapping charges. These are kidnapping of David Lee Mullins, attempted murder of David Lee Mullins, kidnapping of Guy Anderson Plumlee, and sodomy on David Lee Mullins.
That's a tough one.
That's a lot. Those are bad charges, especially in 1971 West Virginia.
Yeah.
They're looking at you a little side-eyed,
Yeah.
I'm going to say. No one's going, well, he seems like a nice young man.
Not anymore.
Not no more. So he was charged with all of that stuff, like we said here. And he elected, this is the whole thing here, he elected, the state announced that it would proceed with the indictment of kidnapping, and before the trial, the defendant here, Sly, moves to get rid of another indictment, saying it was vague and ambiguous. The charges that he had against the Mullins kid of sodomy in the street.
That's ambiguous.
He said that it was, listen to this shit, vague and ambiguous, did not properly advise the defendant of the charges against him with sufficient specificity in order to present an adequate defense. He filed a motion for a bill of particulars requiring the state specifically set forth the acts which the defendant allegedly committed.
That is
in
disgusting.
detail. Can you fucking believe this? That is to his own legal detriment.
Yeah.
The prosecution's doing him a favor by basically not freaking the jury out. They're not putting the details in because they don't want people on the jury to shut the fuck down. Because that's what they'll do back then.
Absolutely.
These people, their brains will fucking explode. So they don't go into detail. They just say sodomized in the street, and that's plenty.
Yeah.
And this guy said, no. It needs to be every detail because I want to hear that fucking read in court. That's why. I'm going to relive. I need to read that because then I get documents, and then I get to read. Every day I can sit and read exactly what I did to this kid.
Good Lord.
Everyone can know that. That's how sick this fucking guy is.
Yeah.
The compulsion for that is more than the compulsion to go to prison for less time.
It's like Bundy asking that state trooper to
describe
the scene.
It's exactly what it is.
That's disgusting.
It's the exact same thing as Bundy telling that state trooper to I really described it. And they were like,
what was inside her?
We don't need this shit. Yeah, that was all for him. That's all it was. He also, this is crazy. He also has something else to say. He also has a little confession to make about some other shit. At this point, a little more investigation of him reveals that that Sly once lived in Dunbar in an apartment right beside the trailer park where Collins lived. Daniel Collins, our dead child. So that's a connection there where he would have seen this kid. He would have absolutely seen him and known of him and know he existed, and especially would have seen him making a little paper route twice a day.
Yeah.
That's that kid that's right. And if you're a pedophile, that's like a spinnerbait going by a largemouth bass out there every time. Oh, there he goes.
That is catnip.
It's catnip. Yeah. So he at this point admits to sexually assaulting and killing Daniel Collins. He admits to it. He says he did it.
Why would he do that?
Because I think he wants to hear about it.
Oh,
that's why. I honestly think he wants to hear about it. Do you think
he knows that he's fucked for this one anyway?
He knows he's going down for these kids. He knows that, but I don't know if he's in a point where he's just like, screw it. They got me for this. Might as well get me for all this. Kiss my ass.
Sink his own ship?
I don't know if that's what it is, or if he might want the attention of this, or if he wants to relive it, possibly. That's the other thing. We're not sure.
I'm not going to get to do this ever again. I may as well relive it one more again.
Certainly not. So he ends up... He ends up saying, wow, it's so fucking bad. He says he sexually assaulted him and then he strangled him, and it gets worse, if that's possible.
How?
He said that this poor kid, Daniel Collins, was still breathing when he dumped him and put him under the water in sand. He was still breathing. This piece of shit couldn't even finish the fucking job of putting this poor kid out of his misery. This poor kid had to, die that way. Horrible.
Yeah.
And that's the worst. Can you think of a worse way to go besides being kidnapped, sodomized, and fucking buried alive after you've been strangled for a while? That's about as bad as it gets. So it turns out there was a tip that led them to suspect him. Anyway, besides the fact that the MO was pretty goddamn on the money, a guy named Arvello Adkins from the town marshal there was applying for the reward money to pay it out to a Dunbar resident after this whole thing here. The guy supplied a tip that led to the arrest of Sly on this. Basically, this person was an auto mechanic, and he became suspicious when Kent Sly contacted him for car repairs following the murder and another incident with the other kid. And so there was certain things about the car that made him suspicious.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was like blood in it or I'm not sure how it worked, but he notified the state police of his suspicions about Sly, and that's how he got arrested for the abductions, because the kids said, we know there was this guy, it was this guy, but they didn't know exactly who it was. They were looking for him, and then 2 days later this guy calls and guy came into my shop with this kind of car, same description of the car, and had problems with it that would have matched up with that. So
in the dirt on the inside of the truck lid it said, this man just raped us.
That's how that goes.
It was weird.
So this guy gets the $1,500, but they ended up doing $1,000 for the tip, and they gave $500 for the Collins family for the funeral expenses. Because Jesus Christ, that's awful. Looking for this boy and this investigation to see who killed this boy, 7 different state police detachments took part in the probe, which carried into 3 states and totaled an estimated 5,000 man hours and 10,000 miles of driving around.
Lord.
At one time, troopers said they had 88 possible suspects. 88 suspects, and they said, quote, and Sly was 4th from the bottom of the list. He was suspect number fucking 85, basically.
There are 84 more important to him.
There was 84 people they were way more concerned about. He was just like, well, I guess we got to interview these idiots too.
That leads you to, forensics and forensic science is right on the money, because he's somebody that you wouldn't be concerned with. That's what they even said.
That's what it was. Yeah, they said it's somebody that you wouldn't suspect. Grand larceny, because it's not a violent criminal record. It's not anything like that. So
even his wife wouldn't know. That's what they said.
I mean, she probably wouldn't. So December 1971 is the murder trial.
Okay.
They do that first. Murder trial for Daniel Collins. It's a 3-day trial. The defense objects to the confession being allowed in. The judge says, fuck that, you're getting the confessions coming in. The defense presented its case, saying, they said that, they attempt to establish that Sly didn't sign the confession willingly, this is fucking, they, listen to this shit. Okay.
I'm listening.
This is fucking weird. They call his mother to the stand, Sly's mother to the stand, because, wow, Sly was taken to sign his confession. Then, back to Lincoln County, where he came from, they were driving him back. Police escorted him, and they had his mother meet them on the road with her car so they would allow him to talk to his mother. That was the deal. Okay. Like, I'll sign the confession. I'll take you out, show you the shit, show you where I put the kid, so you know I did it. I'll sign the confession, and on the way back, I get to talk to my mom.
That's all he wants.
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
So they allow him to talk to his mother, and his mother says in court, she testifies, quote, he said, I signed a statement saying that I killed the boy. He said I had to do it. He looked at me like he didn't want to say more, like he wanted to say more, but he didn't. That's her testimony. Mm-hmm. So they testified that Sly admitted to his mother the cops ended up testifying that Sly admitted to his mother on the side of the road that he did kill Danny Collins. They said, quote, she said, did you do it, son? And he said that the cop testifies that he answered back, yes. So, quote, he told his mother he did it, but didn't know why. That's what he said. Now his mother now is saying he said he had to sign it, not I didn't know why. So during the prosecution testimony, police read the detailed confession in court, which was detailed because he wanted all that shit to be preserved. It said that, to break it down in non-disgusting ways, he said Sly had sexual relations with Daniel Collins.
He actually said those words.
He said, well, that's what I'm going to say.
Got it.
He said he had sexual relations with him, to put it mildly. He said in much greater detail in the confession what he did.
Exactly.
In the confession, you have to detail. And, so yeah, in this type of thing, you're trying to gas the jury up and you're trying to inflame on top of it. You want everybody to be mad at this fucking guy if you're the prosecution. So go ahead and read out what he did. Go ahead. What he said he did.
Right.
So he said he had sexual relations with Collins, and this is the weirdest part. Okay, he said that he was concerned that Collins was having sexual relations with other youths for money.
What?
That's what he said. He's concerned about that. Apparently the paper route was a little
like in the middle of it, or like before, and that's why he did it.
That's what caused it, he said.
Okay.
It said in the confession that Kent Sly became angered when Daniel Collins tried to get money from him.
Okay.
I don't know if he's trying
to say this kid just turned 13 as a prostitute.
That he's pulling tricks around the trailer park after in between paper routes.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. Paper routes. Hey, you know what? Paper routes a decent gig for a kid, but the ends just don't meet.
It's an honest living, but it's not much of a living.
You gotta suck some dick around lunchtime. That's how it works. That's how I came up, Jimmy. Yeah. Every kid that had a paper route. You trickle it on the side. You trickle a little on the side. Right. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. Are you fucking kidding me? What an asshole.
How do you sit in front of a jury and actually say that?
That's what he said in the confession. Right. That was like,
but he's got to say that shit to a jury now.
Well, it's being read. He's got to, this was his way of trying to mitigate it. Right. Like, I was upset that he was doing this.
Can you guys believe it?
Well, no. Nobody can believe shit. The police testified that he, gave the statement willingly and without even any prior questioning. They said he just fucking told us all this. He said only after he confessed did he start asking follow-up questions. So, wow. This is his defense.
That's insanity.
His defense is that, I didn't want him to do that.
What a story.
And then he tried to get money from me, so he had to go. So that's his defense. So it goes to the jury. They deliberate for an hour and 20 minutes, which is just long enough to fill out the paperwork. Yeah. Now, this was after 3 days of testimony. This is a 3-day trial. They find him surprisingly guilty of first-degree murder of young Daniel Collins here, and first-degree murder. And the jury also recommends no mercy for him.
Nothing.
They do not recommend. They can recommend mercy or not recommend mercy, and they specifically do not recommend mercy for him. And funny, the judge doesn't have much sympathy for him either, and he is sentenced. You, sir, may fuck off. life in prison with no parole.
Okay.
So he's done.
Yeah.
No parole there.
Okay.
Now he's got a kidnapping trial, too.
Right.
For those other 4 kids. And this shit gets real wild around now.
Really?
There's a kidnapping trial here. Starts in April 3rd, 1972. So it stacks him right up.
Yeah.
He's sentenced in March of 72 to life without parole. And they go, all right, get your ass back in the seat. We're going to just grill you again, which is great. Just fucking run this guy. They should have a trial every year for this guy.
West Virginia has the death penalty, right?
Making sure you're still an asshole. Just making sure. In 71, I'm not sure.
Okay.
In 71, they might not have had the death penalty.
I just wonder because that's not that option for the jury kind of ruins a death penalty argument when they can say mercy or no mercy that. That's like everybody just put your thumbs up sideways.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Put them down if you. What is that?
It's a weird thing. That's all they can do is they can't. It's not like a sentencing recommendation. Like they can say, he can either be sentenced to life in prison or death, and they say, well, we want life. Like in most things, this is just mercy or no mercy.
That is a bananas way of phrasing it.
Basically, do you like him besides what he did or not? Right. Do you think he's a piece of shit because of what he did? Let's find out. So, April 3rd, 1972, trial starts. Now, Mullins, he was the victim of most of this damage. He was the one who was assaulted in the street. He was 15 years old at the time of the trial. He and Plumlee, who was 13 at the time, identified Sly as the driver of the car, person who kidnapped them and, did everything else to them. Now, Triplett was one of the other 2 boys. He identified Sly as the driver of the car, but he was let out at his house before any of this ever happened. Now, the 4th kid at the car could not identify Sly Roberts.
Was he sitting in the back?
He couldn't. Well, he was sitting in the back. It was dark. It was a year ago. I mean, he might have looked at him and went, I don't fucking remember if that's him or not. I honestly can't say. I mean, if you're being honest and you go, I honestly can't place that in my head.
Right.
If you're a kid too,
also
13 to 14, your memories are different.
This beard took me 4 months to grow. A year later, forget it. I could be an entirely different man.
Yeah, who knows? Who the fuck knows? So he said he couldn't identify him as the driver. He just didn't know. It just was unsure. So at the conclusion of the trial, Sly moves to strike the testimony of the in-court identifications by the 3 kids who ID'd him.
Okay.
Wow. The court says, why the fuck would we do that?
Right.
Those are your victims, and they just pointed and said, you're the one who did it. Why would we tell them no?
Because it's detrimental to my case.
It's not good for me, is what I'm getting at.
It ruins my argument that I wasn't there.
Listen, guys, okay, I'm working hard to present a case that says I didn't do this. Now, obviously. Now, the problem is when you bring in 3 children who are otherwise credible and you put them up on the stand.
One of them who has had a vicious, horrible evening.
A terrible night. When you put them on the stand and they point to me in open court in front of the jury and say, that's the man who sodomized me and then tried to drown me in a creek. Right. It doesn't look good for me. Right. It just makes me feel to the jury like they look at me like I'm less than at that point. We'll put it that way. They look down on me. I feel persecuted.
I am impressed that he's trying his best to get anything thrown out when, even if this doesn't stick, dude, you've still got life without.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all. This is just technicalities,
This is just
babe.
for fun at this point.
This is just to give that kid some closure.
And just in case if for somehow later on his murder charge got thrown out, well, guess what, asshole? You're still there.
Still got
doesn't
this
fucking
part.
matter. Yeah. So this is crazy. So they say, yeah, no, that stays in. Yeah. Problem is, at one stage during the trial, the judge retires to his chambers to check the record concerning the previous testimony of a witness. The judge did this out of the presence of the jury and out of the presence of the defendant, Sly. On another occasion, the trial judge and the prosecuting attorney had a conversation concerning one of the instructions out of the presence of both the defendant and his counsel, which you can't do.
No.
You can't. Everything has to be transparent.
Right.
Yeah. So this discussion took place in private in the chambers of the judge at his request during a power failure when the lights were out in the courtroom. Fucking West Virginia. I'm sorry. Get a fucking generator. It's a courtroom.
Right.
One building needs a fucking 2. Your hospital? Your goddamn courtroom.
Right.
Put a fucking generator outside. Are you kidding me? You're stopping in the middle of a trial of a guy who kidnapped and fucking raped children.
0 interruptions.
The lights are out. Hold on. Everybody light some candles and, tell stories for a while.
Go to my room and have a drink?
Come on, let's go. I'll pour you. There was a drink poured in that goddamn room.
Of course.
So, this discussion took place at that point. When the final judgment comes later on, Sly puts a motion in to get rid of the judgment and get a new trial because of those reasons, and to throw out the conviction. And they say, no. I don't think so.
That's not enough.
And instead, the judge has to sentence him because he's found guilty, obviously.
Sure.
It helps when the kids are pointing at you. And they tell him, you, sir, why don't you go fuck off again for another life without parole?
Wow.
Eat massive dicks. Just keep...
You can get life without for that.
Keep fucking off. Oh, wait, no. This one might be with, but they don't say.
Okay.
The jury did not recommend mercy.
Okay.
So,
probably life without.
Probably life without. I think if you attempt to kill a kid after you sodomize him in the street in a kidnapping, then we can give you life without.
I think so,
point.
too.
That's fine. That's as good as killing someone.
May as well.
In my turn.
You tried.
And you're gonna. Again, if we let you go, you're gonna kill someone else, obviously. So,
just that kid being alive is not because of him. You know what I mean?
Shit, no.
It's because that kid had the wherewithal to grab a fucking rock.
The kid had a goddamn, he was
It's
reaching
the
out
only
for
reason he's still alive.
He would be dead, and his friend would be dead
Absolutely.
too. There would be 3 murders they'd
Absolutely.
be talking about. He wasn't going to then take the Plumley kid to Denny's. Afterwards,
No.
like that kid was going to die too
Absolutely.
in the trunk. Everyone was going to die. I think it's clear. It's so strange. I'm honestly surprised he let that kid go. I'm surprised he let that go. I mean, it's a sober decision, but still.
Sober as fuck. I'm sure that as soon as that kid got up and ran and he got his wits back about him, sobriety rushed right the hell over him.
Imagine Sly's drive home. From that.
Oh, boy.
Imagine what the cauldron of insanity, of paranoia.
The screaming in that car.
Of everything. He must have been going, what the fuck, man? Because you can't mess up any worse than that.
Looking down at his own dick going, that'll never get hard again. This is over.
But I don't understand. He let the kid go, but the other 2 kids he let out, they already saw him with them. So, it didn't matter. You were going to kill them after you've already been seen with them.
That's a good point.
It doesn't make sense.
Your plan's already fucked as soon as you drop 2 kids off.
I guess,
and the other 2 kids disappear. They happen to be friends.
I mean, I guess it's plausible that because he could say, I don't know, I dropped them off outside their fucking house.
Just like I did the other 2.
Like I did the other 2, and I don't know, maybe they disappeared. I have no idea. I guess there's that, but still, it's just odd that he was just like, get the hell out of here. Right. You can tell that was a decision that he was like, I'm going to pop this truck. I'm either going to, choke this kid or I'm going to tell him to get the hell out of here. So, he gets another life sentence there, which I'm not upset about, to be honest with you. So July 23rd, 1973, this is when he starts with his appeals, and he's trying to get the kidnapping case is the one he's really trying hard to appeal with. The court grants him a writ of error on February 18th, 1975. The case is submitted to be for an appeal. Yeah. So he's got an appeal based on some errors here. And also in the Collins murder, he requests a new trial.
Okay.
He requests a new trial. He asks that they throw out the first-degree murder conviction from last year, which I don't know. It's amazing that he's saying... I have an idea.
This is balls.
Yeah, he's saying that there was several errors made by authorities following his arrest on June 28, 1971. Sly's attorney said that he was not informed of his constitutional rights, was held without arraignment and privilege of posting bond, and the murder warrant against Sly was only sworn out after a confession was extracted from him by police. Well, because he was already in custody. When you already have someone in custody, you're not in a big rush because you already have them there. The whole point of why they're trying to interrogate someone in a room and trying to get them to admit it on the spot is because once they walk out that fucking door, you might not get them back in that room again. They might call a lawyer. They might. He's already fucking done.
And the other thing is, if you don't
charged.
If you don't have enough evidence, then you can't charge them. You only have a certain amount of time to get something on them.
You're trying to get on him,
right?
So he's with this,
but they've got evidence.
He's in for kidnapping. That's done.
Right.
So we have all the time in the world to talk to you, and they don't need to charge him before a confession. They can charge him before a confession, after a confession. They can charge him whenever the fuck they feel like it.
He's
That's
in
not
custody.
That's not part of the law.
Right.
Yeah, that's what's ridiculous. He was held without arraignment. They're saying, which he wasn't arrested yet, but he was already in custody on something else and held without the privilege of posting bond. Well, you wouldn't have. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. So they try to do that. The state Supreme Court, he gets denied there, so he tries again, goes back to the state Supreme Court, and they deny him again. Another petition for a retrial, and they say no.
Right.
But his appeal of kidnapping is another story. He has an appeal of the kidnapping case. There's errors assigned by him. They're as follows here. Trial court, he says, erred in overruling his motion to get the indictment thrown out. They said that it was founded upon an illegally obtained statement from him in the police interrogation without affording him a preliminary hearing. So they said he didn't charge him and let him know he was charged before he confessed. Also, they're saying the trial court erred in denying his motion to strike the identification testimony because identifications by the state's witnesses were based on an alleged tainted show up. That's when they brought the kids in the interrogation room and said, is this the asshole?
Gotcha.
They're saying that was tainted because they said he was the only suspect present, which that's why there's no lineup. It was this guy and a bunch of uniformed police officers. Yeah. So he looked more like a whatever. That's why you have lineups though. Yeah. That's legitimate, but the way they did it, who cares? They also say that there's another thing about the joinder of multiple felonies, and this is real legalese shit that you don't care about. The trial court also, number 4 here, committed reversible error, he says, by discussing matters pertaining to the trial with attorneys out of the presence of the defendant. Yeah. That's the one that's sticky. That's sticky. The trial court also erred in giving instruction offered by the state over the objection of the defendant on the ground that it improperly dealt with punishment relating to the kidnapping of the crime of kidnapping, and also that they refused to give an instruction relating to the attempted murder indictment. It's a real technical.
But it only takes one of these things, right?
Technicality. Well, it depends on how much weight they have, because some of them are harmless error. Some of them will say we find error, but it's not anything.
Wouldn't change the outcome.
Wouldn't change the outcome. Not reversible error. That sort of shit. So, they talk about the first assignment of error here. They said that the statement appears to have been obtained after the defendant had been warned of his constitutional rights, and it was voluntarily given. However, even if it were illegally obtained, there would not have been good grounds for quashing the indictment. The principle is clearly stated in this case. They talk about a motion or prayer to quash an indictment contained in a plea in abatement with the allegation that no legal evidence was introduced before the grand jury is not good grounds for quashing an indictment. That means fuck you, asshole.
Eat dicks.
Yeah, eat dicks to the coal mines with you. That's what they should sentence him to.
That would be wonderful.
Canary duty.
Yeah.
You just go down and test the coal mines down there.
You sit in a cage down there. Oh, boy.
You might survive for years.
It's possible.
It could be great. Also, he says that the court answers him on the second one and says that the in-court identification testimony of the state's witnesses that he says was tainted based on the one-to-one show-up. They say it is true that where an accused is identified at a show-up at a police station, it could be the result of a suggestive atmosphere. And once a witness has identified the accused at the show-up, he is not prone to change his opinion, which is true. Thus, evidence should be scrutinized with care. And then they talk about how in this case, they said they had basically that in the case that it's just so hard to fucking explain. It's legal horseshit. It's legal fucking horseshit. In every little detail, okay, let's say there's 100 little details. Okay, 97 of these details he might have right, but the 3 that he has wrong in this particular case are the 3 that are most important, so it counts anyway, is what they're saying. And they go through this whole list of the 100 fucking details that I am not going to read to you guys because, for the love of Christ,
that's boring.
We got to get this over with eventually. And it's fucking boring, and the end of this thing is so bonkers that you're going to need to hear it.
Oh, boy.
And get away from this. So, yes. So they said on this, one of the state's witnesses, Paul Roberts, stated on direct examination that he had never seen the defendant before, and the court instructed the jury not to consider his evidence. That's a weird thing, too. Yeah, they said don't consider that. Yeah. That's just a mistake on his part or something.
That guy's never seen him before, but he was a witness to the kidnapping? Or
he was one of the kids.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's like,
that's a big one.
That's a staple.
That's a staple.
That's something he should have that should have been allowed. The other witnesses testified that they ID'd him as the driver of the car who picked him up, and their identification was independent from the show-up ID, which was only a few days after the crime was committed. So they're saying, we've all seen him, we saw him in court again, and we still think that. Number 3, they say there's no merit in the third assignment of error, that the court erred in denying his motion to quash the indictment because of the multiple charges. Nobody cares about that. Fourth indictment was that's the big one, pertaining to the matters conducted out of the presence of the defendant during the trial.
Yeah.
They said this presents a serious question. Apparently, this occurred twice during the course of the trial.
Oh, Jesus.
The first instance occurred when the court and counsel for both the state and the defendant went into the judge's chambers without the defendant, at least he's represented, and had part of the the record reread in order to ascertain whether his counsel was misquoting the evidence. Okay. That's what that was about, an evidence. It was about to check a transcript. Okay. No ruling was made by the court which would affect the defendant in any manner during this time, and the court and counsel returned to the courtroom and proceeded with the case. Now, the second instance of this is an entirely different issue, they said. It appears that on the second occasion, the judge and prosecuting attorney, in the absence of the defendant and his attorney, retired to the judge's chambers and discussed matters involving an instruction. The trial court, in answering a query of the defendant's counsel, in effect admitted this discussion as indicated in the documents and had taken place in his chambers. This occurrence would appear to be more prejudicial than another precedent case that they cite. Neither the defendant nor his attorney was present when the discussion with regard to instruction took place. This would amount to prejudicial error in the case at bar and constitutes reversible error. 5 and 6 of his statements have no merit. They said he can fuck off. But their decision is, inasmuch as it appears that the prejudicial error was committed by the trial court when a discussion was held and with the prosecuting attorney out of the presence of the defendant and his attorney, the judgment of the Circuit Court of Lincoln County is reversed, the verdict of the jury is set aside, and a new trial is awarded to the defendant.
Oh, boy.
So, new trial in the kidnapping. He's completely fucking free to clear on those kidnapping charges.
But he's guilty of murder.
Set aside. Oh, that's life without parole. And he's had 2 appeals where they said fuck off on both of them.
Okay.
So 1981, he sues the state.
Oh, boy.
1981, he's in prison and he sues the state. He alleges that on June 4th, 1981, correctional officers that were acting pursuant to the warden's instructions conducted a search of their cells.
Yeah.
They said that the search was not routine and that they were not present when it was executed. As a result of the search, apparently they claimed that the guards seized some of these inmates' court papers in this, which they're not allowed to seize court papers, obviously. They said apparently, specifically, they seized maps of the penitentiary, the fucking jail. I don't know why that came out so weird. Jesus. Maps of this shithole, which indicated the locations where state police officers were posted during a shakedown in November of 1979, and a copy of the procedures utilized by the state police and the correctional officers during the shakedown.
Why would they have that?
For a lawsuit.
Oh, okay.
They're saying they had this information for a lawsuit,
and they're taking it,
and they needed to have that. But they're saying you can't have a fucking blueprint of the prison where all the fucking guards hang out. Right. That looks like you're planning an escape.
Yeah.
So they both have a point here.
Yeah.
Basically, they said they alleged that these prison guards were personally present when other corrections officers executed the search and seizure. They claim that the bosses of these guards instructed them to search everything in the cells, including documents which were clearly identifiable as court papers. They further alleged that they took possession of the seized court papers, and later on that day, they tried to, I guess, get the court papers back, and they were informed that the documents were not going back to them. It's a long story, but basically they had to request them through the West Virginia Attorney General's office that they be returned, and the prison ended up not not adhering to the judgment of the Attorney General.
Oh, that's not good.
And didn't give it back. So the next day, the prisoners were asked by the state if they were given their documents back, and so they weren't. So the prisoners said, "Can we just have them photocopied?
Yeah.
We'll just need a copy of this shit."
You can have them too.
Yeah, but I guess that was when they took them. They said, "Well, can we at least have photocopies?" And I guess the prison guards refused to give them permission to get copies of it. They said that this is fucking nuts here. They said that they wouldn't. The prison kept telling them that they wouldn't been returned to them. They won't be returned to you. You're not going to have your shit returned to you. So apparently they're fighting back and forth, and eventually the prisoners get their court documents back. But it takes like a year of fighting.
Unbelievable.
And even though the Attorney General's office advised the prison that the plaintiffs were entitled to their court documents, they still weren't given the documents until
What is going on with this prison?
It's fucking nuts. This prison is they have a lot of problems.
Oh,
with
I'm sure they
here.
do.
And the prison conditions at Moundsville is fucking. It's awful.
Is it privatized?
It's I don't know if it's privatized, but it is the biggest shithole in the world.
Really?
I mean, people who are like not prison advocates, are saying you can't keep human beings in these conditions. It's that sort of place.
It's Guantanamo Bay.
It's way worse than that. It's fucking it's disgusting. It's falling apart. It's a mess. Like it's the environment is unhealthy. Just
they should be happy about that. If it keeps going the way it is, you're going to be on the outside soon.
Yeah. The wall will crumble and you just walk right out. So I mean, yeah, it's apparently a terrible place, this Moundsville prison, and there's all sorts of lawsuits from prisoners to the state over this period in the early 80s. There's a bunch of minor kind of uprisings in the prison where they want better conditions, and this happens multiple times. And I read back all the way to the early 70s this was going on.
Really?
Like every couple years they have a little riot uprising in this prison because the conditions are so fucking bad.
Wow.
The food, the sanitary conditions.
It's worse than county.
They said you would get, a guy said in the 80s they talked to somebody from the state who wasn't like it wasn't any guy trying to get prisoners better conditions, and he said it would be illegal to keep animals in those conditions.
Really?
He said you would 100% be arrested for keeping animals in those conditions. You can't keep anything alive in those conditions.
That's fascinating.
But you can keep people in those conditions.
Right.
So
as long as they've done certain things.
So in January 1986, this all comes to a head, and there's a huge prison riot in Moundsville. Big prison riot, and it is a mess. Okay. I mean, they take guards as hostages.
Oh no.
It's one of those where they have, it's not just, we took 2 cells and we're not coming out. They took guards hostages, took over the prison, broke windows and did all that shit.
I've seen videos of that shit. It is terrifying.
Nothing more terrifying than a prison riot.
Those are people that have nothing to lose, and they show it.
These are people that we don't want mixing in with one of them mixing in with a bunch of society.
Right.
Like, let's just say like 9,999 parts normal people, 1 part fucking insane criminal. We don't want those parts mixing.
Right.
This is all of them, and they're
mixing
in charge.
Together. Oh boy.
This is like, it becomes Crazy Island, and fucking, the craziest becomes king of the crazy island, basically.
Is scary.
It's very frightening because that's there's an HBO documentary about the prison riot.
I've seen one. It's not necessarily a prison riot. It's just a documentary about that dude from Vegas that's a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Stabbed up the black guy, and then he
that was during a riot.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's why they do it half the time.
Horrifying.
As soon as a riot breaks out, anybody who's an undesirable or whose people don't like, they start stabbing start happening. This is the time to fucking, no one's watching.
Right.
So,
it's not even, everybody's watching. They just can't do shit about it.
Yeah, there's nothing anybody can do. No, well, they had a huge prison riot here in, like I said, January of 1986. They got walkie-talkies they took from the guards, from the captive guards, so then they had communications, the prisoners around it. They broadcast repeated assurances, the prisoners did, that nobody would be hurt, but they threatened to, they did threaten to kill the guard hostages if the police moved in, obviously. That's why they have hostages. Yeah. There's no other reason to have hostages than to threaten to kill them. So They ended up releasing 3 of the captives of the staff and the guards because they had medical problems. So they released them for medical reasons to try to, as a goodwill gesture. Like, hey, you got to release fucking Johnson and this guy and that guy. That dude's got diabetes. He needs his insulin. This one's got a heart condition, whatever. So they let 3 of the people go.
It's like Con Air.
It's like Con Air, exactly like Con Air. So the first hostage was a guard with a heart condition. He was released shortly into that and taken to a hospital. The second hostage was a guy named Edward Little. He was freed at 5:40 in the morning here. He was hospitalized with minor injuries, including possibly a broken arm, according to State Police Dispatcher Corporal Pat Glasscock. The Glasscocks.
There's a relation.
There is, absolutely. There is. Yeah. He's proud, too. Yeah. He's like, my great-great-great-great-granddaddy was governor of this shithole. You know that?
He used to run this show.
He used to run this whole place.
Now I'm a fucking dispatcher.
Now I'm a dispatcher. It's better than trying to quell a minor revolt, I guess, but Jesus Christ. So he was freed shortly after noon for whatever. I don't know. He's got a glass cock. That's his condition. They freed him for.
Which is hilarious because Pietragallo is stone cock.
Yeah, it's the opposite of glass cock.
You are the winner there.
I win, glass cock.
Break his
Take
glass
that. Cock. Let's go, motherfucker.
He's standing on the mayor's mansion balcony with his glass cock, and you just push him over it.
Pathetic.
And then drop your pants.
That's right.
Admire this, sir.
As he hears it hit.
Thunks on the wooden railing.
That's ridiculous and funny. But yes. Old glass cock here. He can't do that because it'll shatter.
Yeah.
Shatter.
It is fragile.
It's very fragile. So tons of reporters are there, obviously. Yeah. Prison riot's a big deal. People are very interested in that. Finally, around midnight of this whole ordeal, mid-afternoon of the next day after the fighting had broken out, the rioting, there was an announcement of an agreement which the inmates were granted 2 of their demands. One was amnesty for their roles in the takeover. That's always the first thing. Like, hey, let's all forget this ever happened. Number 1. First of all,
first things first. This never happened.
This never happened. Right. Okay, we're both at fault here. Little column A, little column B. Right? Okay.
You guys were weak. We took it over. Call it a day. Right?
You were sleeping. You know, you were slipping and sleeping, and
let's
we
not
crept
pretend
on
you didn't deserve this.
You were creeping. You know, you slept on us. Yeah. That's how it goes. Also, a meeting with the governor.
That's what they want.
They want a meeting with the governor to discuss their problems, and they want amnesty for the role in the takeover. Those are the 2 demands. That's what they negotiated to.
Very union.
Yes, very much. Inmate spokesman Alvin Gregory said, quote, "All we want is to be treated like human beings." And then
he's the spokesman, so he's the most dangerous.
He's the most dangerous, or he's like been in there, and he who the fuck knows? They said he speaks the best, for whatever reason.
Journeyman prison guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe he's like a journeyman kind of prison lawyer type guy. So one of the guards held hostage by rioting prisoners was forced to watch as a group of inmates, while cheering and acting like they were fucking winning the Super Bowl, carved up another inmate. Carved up one inmate accused of being a snitch, and then another inmate who was a fucking child molesting asshole who tried to bury his son of a bitch and fucking poor kid in a shallow fucking creek grave.
They carved him up.
They carved him up good. It was called, the guard who saw it said that they butchered him, quote unquote. They made the guard watch. One guard said, quote, "They made him watch. They put on a show for him."
Oh boy.
This was not a slow death.
No.
This was,
wait.
Sly's death, not a slow one.
Yeah.
They got Kent Sly, these other inmates, and they fucking had their way with him.
They just opened him.
They found his body eventually. It was dragged up after they killed him. It was dragged up and down the cell block.
Wow.
Like fucking Mussolini through the streets as other prisoners kicked and spit on his body and fucking did whatever.
Holy shit.
Yes. The guards who saw this were being treated in the hospital for anxiety reactions and post-traumatic stress for what they tortured this guy in front of them.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was bad. 16 hostages were seized in all of this whole thing. It's a 120-year-old prison. So that tells you right there. They held it for 3 days. They killed 3 inmates, but they they really killed Sly.
Yeah.
Sly was the one they had a ball
killed
with.
him twice.
The governor said that officials believe a group of inmates acted as, quote, judge, jury, and executioner in these other people. The corrections department prohibits officers from speaking to reporters. Several agreed to speak under anonymity, and they said that they all witnessed the deaths of Sly and Atkinson, who was the other inmate they killed, who was convicted of murdering a pregnant woman.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah, they got a little
they got some
revenge.
good candidates for it.
Yeah, they do. They said Atkinson's murder was seen by a guard who had tilted his head back so he could peer out from behind a blindfold. The corrections officer said that the inmates cut out Atkinson's heart.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Quote, he saw blood all over. Then he heard one guy say, it's amazing how this little thing will keep a fellow alive. Then another one says, well, it won't keep him alive anymore.
Not out here. It won't do it from here.
Yes. Not with this. That's when he said, that's when the officer told them that, quote, they butchered Jeff and then carried his heart and guts all over.
Jesus.
So they took his insides and carried it up and down the cell block. They said he'd been a prison informer and supplied information that foiled several plans to smuggle drugs and weapons into the prison. The guards, but they said the state's finally, the medical examiner checked out Sly. Sly had been, let's start.
Yeah.
He'd been stabbed and strangled and beaten and burned with cigarettes and anything else you could name. He eventually is stabbed over 18 times that they could figure out. Yeah. They said that they couldn't tell basically what like how many times he was hit in the head because it was one giant swollen head. It was one big blow. They said basically like the blows were so many that it just all came together in one big blow. He had his throat cut twice. They cut his throat twice and then ended up dying of stab wounds in the chest.
Oh, Jesus.
So they were cutting his throat not enough they were torturing him slowly. They were fucking torturing him and then pulling him up and down and letting everybody have their way with this guy. So last week, everybody was very upset that a guy that might not have deserved it got the death penalty from the state. And this week, you can say, this fucking asshole got exactly what he fucking deserved.
Yeah, he did.
This is what I mean. The state didn't kill him.
No.
People, and I'm not for vigilante justice or anything like that, but if you're in prison with a bunch of bad motherfuckers and
you're trying to game the system based on technicalities
and they're fine and they know what you did and what you did is considered particularly disgusting to the worst people, you're on your fucking own at that point. You know how you can avoid that? Not fucking kids or killing them. You avoid that every goddamn time.
Or pregnant women.
That works too. Yeah, it's funny. I've never been to prison, and while never being there, no one ever tried to stab me and torture me. You know why? I don't fuck kids at all. It's really cool. It keeps you out of a lot of trouble, let's just say.
Damn good point.
What the fuck, man?
So the prison is being sued for this?
So no. This was later on. This was 81 was the conditions and the court paper seizures. 86 was the riot where it all it seemed like
culminated in this shit.
It seemed like they rioted. So out of this they ended up getting a meeting with the governor and hopefully maybe some better conditions, and they got rid of the prisoners they hated the most.
A few dirtbags.
Think about that. He's been in jail for at this point like 12 years, more than that. 14 years? Yeah. He's been in jail for 14 years, and these guys have probably wanted to kill him the whole fucking time. You know they did.
Yeah. They just got the excuse by having the opportunity and means now.
Finally went, guess what? We're going to kill this guy. Right. And out of everyone in prison, you were picked out as you're the worst.
Eesh.
You and you.
That tells you how bad you are.
That tells you how all of us, you and you can't hang with the rest of our scumbag asses.
All the scumbags collectively agree that you're worse than us.
All of us, motherfuckers. So that's the case of Kent Sly.
My word.
And I tried to find a case. I try to find as many cases as I can that aren't like husband, wife, husband, because they're boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend.
A bit monotonous.
You want to mix it up. Those are the most common. So you could do a show with just those and only those. So, you try to break them up and something different. And last week was different. And
this is happy when the boogeyman goes down.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And last week, nobody was thrilled. Like I said, people who love the death penalty were upset with last week's execution.
It was frustrating
because it was clearly one where you go, that's not an execution case, and they did it anyway, and that made death penalty proponent people say when they do shit like that, it makes people hate the death penalty. That's what they got to stop doing. Right. And and then people who hate the death penalty obviously really hated that case because it was possibly not even intentional murder.
And in this case, I mean, the jury did say no mercy.
They did say, we recommend no mercy. And the prisoner said, we second that recommend. Okay. We got you covered. Jesus.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not for vigilante justice or anything like that, but you know what, man? I have a 12-year-old son, and if somebody raped and killed him, I would happily cut his throat twice and stab him 18 times in the fucking chest. No problem.
I might like to see
I get it.
How fragile a heart is.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I want to hold it.
For that sort of thing, for fucking killing, and especially in that way, for being that big of a just reprehensible piece of human fucking shit. Yeah. Sorry, man. And not only that, it wasn't a one-time thing. No. He was actively doing it more.
He was willing to do it at least 3.
He was getting ballsier. Then at first it was one kid with a paper out. Now I'll take 4, drop 2 off. I can handle 2 of them. What the fuck is going on? I mean, what would he have this escalated to if he wasn't caught? So, you know what? Fuck this guy. Yeah. I don't care about him at all. That's Dunbar, West Virginia.
I got nothing.
This guy can eat dicks as far as I'm concerned. Sorry.
No habla.
Mm-hmm. No habla. I don't know. It's just
no speaker.
No speaking.
Nothing.
That's it. I got nothing for you. So stay away from Dunbar, West Virginia. And that is Dunbar, West Virginia. And that is a crazy case of Kent Lemoyne Sly and poor Daniel Collins and Plumlee and all the other ones. That's a bad one, man. If you like that show, you sick bastards, what you can do is you can tell everybody about that. You can go get on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, the purple icon, whatever the hell it is, and you can give us a review. Please give us 5 stars. It helps a lot to drive us up the charts. So I know it's a pain in the ass, but it really, really helps. Doesn't matter what you say. You can say you're following instructions. We don't care. It's not for our ego. Also, you can go to shutupandgivememurder.com.
Yes.
For everything, crime and sports and small town murder, all sorts of any of the products. We have tons of stuff, all sorts of merch, t-shirts, skateboards we have now, leggings, all sorts of weird stuff. Get on there. Tickets to live shows. Also follow us on social media so you'll know about those live shows first.
Right.
Because some of these cities, when we announce a live show, it might not make it until when it's announced on the show. Like if some of these cities, Minneapolis, places like that, shit sells out fast. I mean, that happened with Nashville. If you just listened to the show, you heard about it and it was already sold out. Right. So that kind of sucks and we don't want to do that. So follow us on social media at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. And that way you can be alerted to that. We don't do a bunch of shit on there. We don't post tons of stuff to bother you.
We're not trying to flood feeds.
No, we don't have a ton of we don't do ads and any of that shit. So
check us out. Not sponsoring shit either.
No. So check us out on there. Follow us on there. And also be a hero. Why don't you? Go ahead and be a goddamn hero.
Superheroes.
Honestly, this group of people that we're going to talk about is superheroes. We can't say enough about these people because they keep the show going. And honestly, the fact that they give a shit enough to want to help us out just blows us away, and we don't understand it. We don't understand why you would feel not obligated. I don't want to say obligated. You'd feel like you'd feel good to give us stuff that you don't have to give us. That's what I mean. So that makes us feel amazing. Like we do the show, you didn't give us a damn penny, and the fact that you do anyway. Thank you guys.
It's huge.
So
it changes lives and it changes ours for sure.
Definitely changes our lives and allows us to bring you a better show, quite honestly, too, because we can concentrate on this shit and not have to worry. Shit can be bought. We have a studio and all that sort of thing. But Jimmy, why don't you tell us the list of these goddamn heroic son of a bitch people? No, you know what? Goddamn it, people are bullshit with their goddamn heroes. People are look at astronauts landed on the moon. Isn't that great? That's terrific. Good for you.
A career.
Hey. Good for you, asshole. Tell you what, I want to hear about these heroes, the people that affect my life on a daily basis. Hit me with it, Jimmy.
This week's executive producers are Jamie Core, Emily Wilkins, Keenan Eisenbart, Jacqueline Hall, Megan Hasek Watts, E-Bitch from P-Town, and Mike. Thank you guys for everything you do for us. You guys are fucking incredible.
The life's blood, guys. We appreciate you.
Real.
Thank you.
Other producers this week are Brendan Abels, Ashley Lavatai, Leslie with no last name, Logan Klein, James Martyr, Elaine DeCoste, Jesse Hartman, Steve Tucciarello. I don't know. I think that's right. It's Italian, right?
Yeah. And it's how it looks.
Right.
It's phonetic Italian names.
Tucciarello or Tucciarello. There's no consonant between the CH and the R, but it's probably Tucciarello, right?
Yeah. Tucciarello.
Or do you pronounce the ch? Tuccia. I don't know.
Just however it
doesn't
looks.
Matter. Stevie Tucci.
It's easy. Thanks. Hey, Stevie.
Reagan Shalkley, Ann Bradley, Martina in San Francisco, Gina Miller, Aaron Ishiak. I always fuck that one up. But he's always coming around. That's nice. Thank you, Aaron. Jennifer Roberts, Craig Ventura, Owen Earp. Like Wyatt, Lauren Hoosier and her Grim Karen mortician husband. Apparently, we made her Grim Karen mortician husband laugh, and I guess that's a difficult thing to do.
He's a mortician.
Yeah, they don't smile much.
Fuck yeah, we did it. Good job. Way to hang in there and look for the funny.
Thank you. May Lee Elliott, Liz Moy, Hannah Turley. Say again. No, it's not.
You said May-Lee. In my mind, I heard Hey Lee. I've been fucking Heyman Lee. I'm like, what? Right. Hey Lee, what? Too much fucking Adnan documentaries. Sorry, go ahead.
Hannah Turley, John Genova, Allison Morris, Teague Tyga, Shornack. Yes. Rachel Stora, Owen Connolly, Justin Miller, Nicole Turner, CHD Accounting. That's Crystal Harris Dancer, CPA.
Oh, thank you.
It's tax season. Call up Crystal Harris Dancer
hit her up
at CHD Accounting. I believe that's .com. I think that was right. I didn't write the .com.
You just Google the accounting firm and they'll
find her.
Yeah.
Casey Pennington, Jesse Lortz, Andrea Samples. Happy birthday from Amy Fugate. Was Fugate a name of?
Fugate was the small town murderer last week.
I wonder if Amy's got some
Wallace Marvin
Fugate to do. Oh boy. Sarah Kula, TJ McCullum, Nick and Tala Alderman, Justine Hardigan, Norman Sather, Kristen B, Wade Cologne, probably. John,
not Colon, I assume.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe
Powell,
Bartolo Cologne. I feel like that's a cool way of saying
probably
Cologne.
Yeah. Z, no last name or name at all. John Kolanowski, Thomas Smith.
Sounds like a procedure.
It does.
Having a Kolanowski, I'm really scared, Jimmy. They gave me this weird shit to drink.
Hold your hand.
Sorry.
You're going to be shitting all day.
Yeah, it's all day.
You know what my life is.
Yeah. And then the colon guy behind him. It's a fucking mess.
Michael Haven, Sylvia C., Aaron Nesseth, Adam Miller, Sarah Thaxton, Cassandra Scanlon, Zinyan Lu. So Zinyan Lu says her real name's Emily. I don't know which one it is.
Okay.
Whatever it is. Emily.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
And Janice Hill. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, corporals, captains, and
Jesus.
Every other goddamn
every one of you
hero name.
Yeah,
you're the best.
You guys really are the best. Thank you. We cannot thank you enough, and we say it all the time because we mean it, honestly. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why we say it. And Jimmy, what if they wanted to thank you or tell you bad things? How could they do that?
You can do both at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Thank you guys for everything that you send me. Where can they tell you?
You can find me at Jimmy P is Funny, or you can copy and paste my last name from the show description and look me up that way. You don't want to try to spell my first and last name. It's going to be a disaster. Do that. Follow me if you feel like it. Like I said, I won't bother you too much either. So get on there and
Google Translate Stonecock.
That's all. Yeah, do that. Oh, Jesus. So with that said, everybody, thank you for joining us again and for some street justice this week, or at least some prison justice.
Yeah.
Until next week, everybody. It's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you
like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.